Bam, we're live. Why does that not surprise me? That we have 2 shows scheduled this morning. Is that really what's going on? I see what you guys are saying up here. And of course, Rumble's not working. Okay. But we're here on YouTube. That's it. That's a good start. Good morning, Jay Hartle. Jeffrey Birchfield. Maybe one has the wrong date. The real Kevin. How will Sevi do 2 shows at once? Is there someone help a brother out? I should go over and erase that show if we have 2 scheduled at once. That really sucks. I'm excited about this morning. Coming at the 7:30 mark will be Asia Barto and Leah Barto, his wife, from BIRTHFIT. The whole baby game, kids, the incredible journey that a woman goes through, growing that baby inside of her, giving birth to it, staying healthy the entire time. Always been a huge passion of mine. Probably one of my most enjoyable experiences was watching my wife do that, have that journey. And then I was fortunate enough to get to see her do it twice, and once with twins. And, the kids are like 6, 2 6-year-olds and an 8-year-old now. And it's kind of like the journey's almost over. I mean, just the way I've compartmentalized it, right? It's fabricated in my mind. But it's almost like she's just completely back to, except now she's a mom. And I'm stealing these words from the BIRTHFIT website that I saw. Not only did she have kids, but she turned herself into a mom, right? So 2 things happen simultaneously, which is pretty cool. But it's like, it's kind of complete. I mean, she's back to she's not breastfeeding obviously anymore. The kids are 6. I'm sure they'd love to. And, except for the fact that there's 3 other dudes vying for my wife's attention besides me. It's all back to normal. Everything's back to everything. What the fuck is going on? This hasn't happened in forever. Everything's back to normal. Okay. So we have like 30 minutes before they come on, and I thought I would help you. Well, here we go. Jody Lynn. My mom had 6 kids and breastfed none of us. So weird. I wonder why. I don't think my mom breastfed me either. You have to also remember when formula came on the market, they told women that it was better than breastfeeding. There's a lot of things that it's funny. Medicine has told a lot of things to people. Poor George Washington was bled to death by the pharma medical industrial complex. Is that the way it's said? Scott Perkins, Sevi, are you guys not putting your podcast out on Google Podcast anymore? Nothing is out there to go back and listen to since you got the weak detention from YouTube. You know what? We switched hosting services, and I think all of our shit got fucked up. Oh, I felt my back tighten just reading that, Scott. That sucks. I felt my back tighten. I hate switching shit. Another thing we used to do is we used to get free ads on Buzzsprout, meaning they would just put ads on there, and then I would see like a few dollars trickle into my account from those ads. And we switched podcast hosts, hoping that this new podcast host, and I like the guy because it's also a startup. Don't get me wrong, I really like the guy, but I was hoping that it would make the same amount of money. And now they want me to read shit. And the shit they want me to read would make me like all the other fucking poser podcasters out there. And I really, really don't want to do that unless I believe in it. Like I'm trying to court these BIRTHFIT people to be a sponsor because I fucking believe in it. I love Sarah. She listens to the show. I've been a supporter since day one. Same with Gabe. I want it to be my family. Maybe I'm smoking a crack. Maybe I just need to just take money from Coca-Cola and let it be. Just chop my penis off and get a Bud Light sponsorship. Don't do it. Stay thirsty, Sevan. I know.
You reach Matt.
Money is so fucking fun. Fuck that. No lame ad reads. I know, right? Hello. My favorite coffee is the fresh roasted beans from Paper Street. My dear friend Gabe personally roasts. My dear friend Gabe personally roasts every bean. You think I just cut my penis off instead? I saw what you posted on Hiller's podcast yesterday, Jeez Louise. Go fuck yourself. Okay. So I said something about mental illness. Getting a tattoo or a piercing is a mental illness, and people freaked out. People freaked out. So I'm gonna explain to you. I use it. I think it's fun that you guys, some people freaked out, and it's good because now I can explain to you the next level of Sevontology. God, I wish I was the first person to present this. If someone calls you a fat piece of shit and it upsets you or makes you happy or however it makes you feel, you first, well, let me go back a second. Let's put the pause on fat pieces of shit. Here we go. Why do you think you go to the doctor? Why do you think you go to the doctor? Oh, because you have a white bump that's on the inside of your gum, and it's been on there. It's been on your gum for a year, and so you just want to have it checked out. That's what a sleeping person says, or let me be even more specific. That's what a sleeping person believes. They believe that they have some stomach pain. It's been going on for a year and it's been persistent, and so they want to go to the doctor. That is not why you go to the doctor. You go to the doctor because you have a thought that won't go away. You have a bump on your mouth. You have a pressure in your side. You have a pain in your foot, and you have thoughts around it. Why does that hurt? Why does that hurt? Why does that hurt? Do I have cancer? Do I have cancer? Do I have cancer? Do I have cysts? Do I have the ulcer? Do I have ulcer? Do I have ulcer? And you can't tolerate that thought anymore. That thought's freaking you out, and so you react to that thought by making a doctor's appointment. It has nothing actually to do. There's a you don't make the appointment because of the pain. You make the appointment because of the thoughts you're having around the pain. Do you understand that? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not poo-pooing that. I'm just sharing the mechanism. You don't get upset because someone calls you a fat piece of shit. You get upset because you've started to you started to have a little bit of what we call a mental illness. Someone calls you a fat piece of shit, you have a reaction to it, and you start a story. I'm offended. I'm hurt. And then you react to that. You're just talking to yourself. It's a little bit of mental illness. You have this thought. You see someone with a tattoo and you have a thought and you go, God, that would look cool on me. And then you have a whole little dialogue that goes inside with yourself that probably most people aren't even conscious of. And then instead of watching that, you react to it and you get a tattoo. You react to it. You don't even want the tattoo. You have to understand that. A thought that you should watch and let go away so you can become one step closer to happiness, enlightenment, freedom. Instead, you react to it and you address it. And the more of those you address unconsciously, the more you're spending. You're basically killing yourself by 1,000 paper cuts. You guys following? No one can say anything that upsets you. That's what's worse about even reacting to it. It's not that someone cuts you off. It's that someone cuts you off, it upsets you, and then now you have a dialogue inside of yourself and you're reacting to the fact that you're upset, and then you respond. Now you're tired. You're tired. Not because you responded, but because you think it's them who did it. You gave your power away. Same thing with going to the doctor. Same thing with getting a tattoo. Same thing with getting a piercing. You're just pushing away thoughts that maybe you should have watched to free up space for other thoughts, deeper thoughts, more meaningful thoughts, stronger thoughts. Olivia, look at it. Look at what a genius she is. I have tats and I didn't get offended. I'm open to hearing other insights. If you don't listen and open your mind, you aren't growing. I have 35 tattoos. I'm offended. Fair enough. I bet you I really like most of your tattoos too, to be honest. I love a tattoo. Eric Rose is in the house. Hello. I'm just explaining the mechanism of how the shit works. You don't go to the doctor because you're sick. If you think you can say that. It's easy to say. I'm just saying to be truthful to yourself, to understand how all of this shit is working. Just pay attention to yourself. Understand how it's working. Oh, here we go. Mr. Schweitzer, good morning. It took me 20 years to pull the trigger on a tattoo, but the reason was to say, screw you, corporate world. Good morning, Mr. Arturian. Arturian. Maybe if you're Greek. Mr. Artunian. You're just a fly. You're just reacting to shit, and then you're reacting to your own reactions. That's how action occurs. You've started a little conversation inside of your own head. No, I won't. You know what you said. I can't even remember. I don't remember what you said, to be honest with you, Jeez Louise. If I could tell you, I'd tell you. And I forgive you, my son. I forgive myself for having negative thoughts about you, even better. You're a good dude. I appreciate your presence. How's that? Judy Reed, I had a C-section, formula fed my kids, send them to school, private Christian school, but not homeschooling, and love hearing your perspective on all this. Oh, and I don't CrossFit yet. 3 sins. You're banished. 3 sins, Judy. I snatched the 80-pound dumbbell 10 times yesterday, and this morning I could barely get out of bed. Fucking, it's ridiculous. I need to chill out. I don't know why I do that. Getting older is real. I played like 5 games, not even 5 games. I played like 5 holes of frisbee golf in front of my house because I have that frisbee. I need to film that for you guys and put it on my IG if I haven't. I have a little frisbee golf course just like right across the street from my house. Like it's my neighbor's yard because I live out in the country, and I was sore from that. No, I broke. I don't know if I'm getting yoked. I think I broke myself. Okay. So we have, oh, here we go. Caller, hi.
What's up, man?
Hey,
Jeremy.
what's up? Hey, Jeremy. Sorry, Jeremy. 1 second. Yeah, Steven, that's what when you get this haircut, keep the facial hair, maybe trim it. I trimmed the sides the other day, but yeah, I am going to keep the facial. I don't know what I'm going to do actually, but I was thinking the same thing, Steven. Okay. Mr. Jeremy, hi, good morning.
How's it going?
Good.
My comment?
Just thinking about getting a tattoo. No.
So it kind of goes with what you're talking about here. And I'm seeing all the responses to what I said. So I figured, you know what, let me just call in. And so I'm new, and I'm back to the dating game, right? After 16 years out of it. Yeah. Times are different in a lot of ways. Anyways, I meet this chick, pretty cool, like really cool, funny, hot, all the, she's checking some boxes. But yesterday, I don't even remember what we were talking about.
She dropped the N-word.
Yes.
Oh my God, I would love it. That's a keeper. Then you just
that would be hilarious.
You have to what's that called? I forget what it's called, but go on.
No, I dropped the R word. I said retarded. Something was retarded.
Oh, and she has a retarded relative. She has a retarded relative.
No, we were talking about something, and I said retarded, and she says, please don't say that word. And I was like, why not? It's offensive. And I'm like, no, I didn't say no, but I'm thinking like, we have a red flag, ladies and gentlemen. And, we're just getting to know each other. So I don't want to get too deep with her, but I'm like,
right, fair.
Like you say, ask questions. So I'm like, why is it offensive? Like, what do you mean? I can show you TikTok videos of mentally ill people, and it would make you realize why it's offensive. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm thinking, like, what are you talking about? Like, I know, like, I'm not making fun of retards.
Yeah.
I'm just saying something was retarded.
You should have told her TikTok's retarded.
I have told her that. I actually have told her that because she talks about it probably every time we talk about it. She's like, I was on TikTok. And I'm like, yeah, no thanks. She said some other things. She hates Trump. She said Biden has upped his game recently. She said some things that I'm like, oh no, do I just run? So I'm asking, someone said in the comments, do I run? Do I stick it out? Because here's the thing, the person I am, I like challenges. I like a good challenge. So I'm like, maybe I can get this girl to think,
Right.
instead of
Right.
react. Or do I run?
What does she think about you, do you think? Is she like, does she really like you? Is she like, wow, this guy's really fucking cool?
Yes, a lot.
Then I think that if you, I don't know. I didn't hear anything that makes me think run. Because it is a girl, and I'm assuming she has a vagina. That kind of transcends that transcends a lot of shit.
Sure does.
I mean, if you don't hate women, I mean, for a lot of people, they're offended by that because they hate women. They don't realize the power of the vagina. But for those of us who love women, I think you just got to be prepared with shitloads of questions. Like, hey, how did someone as nice and as cool and as accepting as me why do you think we think so differently? I'm not bothered by the word retard. I'm not a fan of Joe Biden. Like, maybe you could be like, hey, does it make you wonder like what it is about me? I'm a black guy and I'm supposed to like not like. Don't you have any questions for me? Maybe you could ask her that question.
I like that.
Hey, but I don't know what it's like to date or what these days, but there's so many people. I had so many male friends who would just sabotage relationships. Like, they actually wouldn't go if they didn't think, I mean, even as young as 18, if they didn't think they were going to marry a girl or they didn't think it was going to work out, they would stop dating her. And I just don't think that's, I think that's stupid, to be honest with you.
I'm of that mindset too. Like, why give up so quick?
Yeah.
It could turn into something pretty cool, or not, but at least you saw it through.
James Krakava, Jeremy, run. There's nothing clearer than this. Do not listen to Sevan. You're wasting your time. That could be spent on someone else. Listen, I don't even think it's possible to wait. I think that there's no it's impossible to waste time. Time is not yours to waste. It is it exists. That's just poor thinking. Are you enjoying her? Are you enjoying her?
I really am, dude. She's really cool. I don't want to say she's not like most chicks, but like, she's really cool, mature, funny, got a job, all this shit, but
I think you should just say some really naive shit to her. Like, hey, I understand how the word retarded might be offensive to some people, but it's not inherently offensive, right? Because I love words, and I'm mourning the fact that I might have to reduce my palette of words. My vocabulary is so limited anyway. I'm just a dumb guy from Milwaukee, and now you've taken one of my words from me. Yeah, you know what I mean? I'd say just have fun with it and see if she can hang.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. I dig it.
I would double down on soap and staying clean, getting ready for a BJ. I would if she hates drinking, drunks, then I would reduce the drinking by 50%. I'd stick it. I personally stick it out. I like girls.
Me too.
Especially if she can tolerate it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How much cooler would Sporty Beth be if she could just roll with all the fat jokes instead of being mentally ill? The least attractive thing is about someone is someone who runs or is offended. It just screams weakness.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
People can't think. Yeah, that's all. Yeah. Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I saw the comments. I think I had to call in and get the
girls
wise sensei's advice.
Yeah, have some fun. I hear in your voice you're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she's fun. She's fun for sure.
And if it gets weird, just put it in her ass. Okay.
Noted.
All right.
All right, man. I appreciate you. Have a good one.
Bye. Here we go with James again. You have a finite amount of time. Sevan is full of shit. Fair. Every minute you waste on her is a minute lost. Oh shit. Fuck. Damn. Jeremy, one more thing. Very important. Much more important than anything James and I are telling you. I do like James, though, and I to telling you, it's like we're the two angels on your shoulders. Olivia has something very important to share with you, Jeremy. Don't get her pregnant. That's huge. I should have opened with that, right? That's like please put your helmet on, like before you get on a bicycle or something. How do you ride a bike? Please put your helmet on. You should have just said that. Don't get her pregnant. Yeah. Okay. From our Puerto Rican mama, Yanni, I always say, if you enter a relationship wondering if you can change a person, that's the wrong way to approach it. Oh, fair. Okay, I like that. You should be with a person that you love most of everything. I had this, Yanni, I don't know, let me propose this as kind of like a pushback on that. I have a friend that I've had since the second grade. And he told me one time that the reason why our friendship has lasted so long is because he chose something very little that he liked about me in the second grade that's never changed. So, yeah, you said some dumb shit too, Clive. UNG's Louise. I saw what you said too. Hi, Clive. How are you? There you go. Here it is. There's the dumb shit by. At least Tillander is putting out quality, concise content. If you say so. If you say so. Imagine me listening to anyone talk about any of that. Just imagine that. Imagine I played on the Super Bowl. I played in the Super Bowl. Imagine I was one of the players on the field at the Super Bowl. I played offense and defense. And now football's gone. It's 100 years in the future, and I'm listening to two people talk about the game as if they're there, or anyone talk about the game as if they're there. And then hearing you guys then respond to fucking second, third, fourth hand accounts. It's like I'm watching 3 levels of retardation. It's fucking insane. Oh, look, there he is. Hi, Asia. What's up, dude? Oh, he's not ready yet, though. It's crazy. It's crazy what I'm watching. I'll give you guys one bit of insight. Because it's weird that some of you, I know a handful of you know and keep it in the forefront of your brain about how much I was actually privy to. When Andy retired, when Andy Stumpf quit CrossFit, he reached out to me, and because we work closely together, and he said we were in different areas, but we work closely together. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to resign today. Will you come to my resignation?" And I said, "Sure." And so it was me and Greg and Andy in the room. I think the resignation meeting, I swear to God, I think it was 3 hours long. And so I hear people say stuff like that dumb shit Waddle says Sevan's afraid of confrontation, or Clive saying it's quality, or fucking super retard. 12 daily doses acting like he's getting like people write in the comments that we're getting the facts. Shut the fuck up. Like you got someone poured Sprite in your bowl and you're drinking it, screaming it's water. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's to be honest with you, it's none of those people's fault. It's not like it's not 12 daily doses fault. It's not Waddle's fault. It's like if you guys want to think that what you're hearing is the gospel, fine. But like, first, it's so weird. I've given you guys such fucking deep insight who've listened to fucking even half of the 800 shows I've done. Like, there can't possibly anyone who knows more than me. And I just from all the little pieces, I'm not saying I know every fucking piece, but I was fucking everywhere. I did not have a fucking life outside of CrossFit 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. You could ask anyone. And people who know that fucking respect the fuck out of me for it. They gave it all. And so I saw all that stuff. And to be completely honest with you, I was flattered that Andy asked me to come to his resignation. Completely flattered. And I don't owe it to anyone to share any of that stuff that happened in that meeting. I don't know it to anyone, but I'm just giving you guys insight as the crew that like, yeah, now I sit here and see people doing shows on it and interviews about it. And I played in the Super Bowl. I don't need anyone to tell me what the hits feel like. I know what it was like. Okay. It was not. Oh, look at Judy standing up for G's Louise. I know, and I'm not mad at anyone about it. I appreciate everyone's perspective on it. I'm glad everyone's enjoying the drama, and I know some people need to get caught up on it, and so it's cool. But I'm just having my own little temper tantrum and reaction to it. So that's it. Hi.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Just doing a little house cleaning. Good to have you guys on.
Great to be here, man.
Man, Asia, it's been forever.
Dude, we got some history.
Yeah. How come I look different and you don't?
Because I age better than you do.
Yeah, definitely. You've been taking better care of yourself, too. I'm going to guess you age better and you've been taking better care of yourself.
I don't know, man. I've been keeping up with your Instagram.
I just chase kids around all day.
Dude, those boys will wear you down, that's for sure.
Yeah, they will.
Leah, have we met before?
Maybe in passing, you know,
Okay.
back in the day when you were filming with Asia, but I don't know if we've specifically met.
Okay. And in Asia, we met basically because you were performing at the highest level in CrossFit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which games did you go to?
11, 12, and 13.
And I guess what stood out most about you is that you were a different size than the rest of the CrossFitters.
Yeah, and I was really good looking too.
Very attractive, good hair,
Long hair.
and tall. And how old were you in 2011 when you first went to the CrossFit Games?
Mid-20s, I think. What, 25? Yeah, 25 maybe.
And had you and Leah met yet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And were you married?
No.
No. We took our time.
Yeah. Did you guys have kids before you were married?
No, we didn't. We just got married and had kids quickly.
Yeah. And how old are your kids?
Our son, Kai, he's 4, and then our daughter, Ruby, is 2.
More on the way?
No, we're done.
No, sir.
No, two, and you're done.
2 is
We're
good.
done. Yeah.
And so you did the games in 2011, 12, 13, and then why did you stop in 14?
Just to be honest, I was a little mentally burned out. I mean, before the games, I did, 10 to 12 years of highly competitive baseball. I played professional baseball in the minor league organization for a handful of years. So I just got to that point where I was just kind of mentally spent. But I also had a gym and a business that I was running that I wanted to turn into a full-time thing that was kind of like a part-time gig next to my training regimen. And I think it was just time to move on. I was like wanted to play into my strengths. So I was an Olympic weightlifter. I wanted to really tap into that. And so I explored that the year after CrossFit and just kind of try to dedicate as much time as I could to that. And then after that, it was kind of just like full-time family, wife, business.
Where did you two meet?
So we both grew up in Houston, kind of knew of each other growing up, but didn't officially meet. We both interned with our NFL team here, the Houston Texans. He had just finished playing pro ball and I had just gotten out of college, and that was our first internship. So we had just started CrossFitting and walked in the first day and saw each other. And it was kind of that like, oh, I know you moment.
Yeah. Oh, what do you mean? Oh, just from around?
Yeah, I think I knew him. I had a lot of mutual friends that played baseball with him up through high school and college. So I think we were Facebook friends through college. We were very connected growing up kind of in the same circles. And then since we had both just started CrossFitting in, early 2010, I think we were on each other's radars because not everyone was CrossFitting in 2010. So it was like, oh, this person, I know him and he's doing this competitive thing and I'm starting to get into it. So it was just kind of that, like, we know each other, but we don't know each other.
Hey, that's kind of like, I don't know, I can't speak for a girl, but that's like a dream come true for a guy. Like you sign up for the Peace Corps and like you land in Costa Rica and then the chick who came from like France is hot. You're like, oh shit, I'm stuck with her for 3 months. This is great. You must have been right. You were stoked, Asia. You're like, oh, this is a good internship. This is going to work.
Yes.
I think we didn't even get through the first day before we decided to start carpooling together to the stadium every morning. And you know,
Oh,
it
Asia
kind of
was
took off.
stoked.
Yeah, that was her idea, not my idea.
Oh, that's great. And what did you guys do there as interns? That's a baseball team?
It's a football team.
Oh, football team.
We
Houston Texans is a football team like currently today?
It is.
Yeah, I
Were
don't
they
know that.
were they the Oilers?
They were.
Okay.
Yeah, the Oilers went to Tennessee Titans, and then Houston didn't have a team for a while, and they came and made a team that was the Houston Texans. The reason you don't know about them is because they're about as good as you not knowing about them.
Okay.
But
Yeah, it makes me feel better. I'm going to get tore up in the comments.
That's okay. It's nothing reputable that they've really done. I think their biggest player out of here was JJ Watt, probably Andre Johnson. So people probably know him, but yeah, I think we both got into that, just kind of that out of college, like, okay, we probably need to do something corporate-y with our lives, but also we had this love of fitness, and we were kind of in that territory of like, what comes next in life when you graduate college.
Matt Ivy, glad to see these two on here. Amazing people and coaches. Hashtag Behemoth. I know I can't, to be honest, Leah, this is not a dig at you, but it's crazy that I haven't ever had Asia on.
That's crazy, man. Matt Ivy is an old member of ours. What's up, Matt?
Oh, wow. Small world.
Yeah. Small world.
And do you own a CrossFit gym now?
It's not a CrossFit gym, but yes, we own a, functional fitness gym. Yes.
And it's called Behemoth.
Yes. Behemoth Gym.
And how long have you had that gym?
2012.
And when did you guys get serious, if you don't mind? Did you have the gym first, or did you have Leah first?
When did Leah and I get serious?
Yeah.
Well, Leah and I were serious before the gym. So we met in 2011.
10.
Okay.
2010. Sorry about that. And we were serious from the get-go. We're very
Carpool day
very
one.
committed.
Carpool
Yeah,
day one.
Exactly. Loyal and committed people. So it was like when we were dating, it was just her and I. And so that happened 2 years before we started Behemoth.
And then you started the gym together?
No, I started the gym with my brother, who him and I both own it to this day.
Yeah. So I was working in the same realm at other gyms because they were starting up, and he was like, I can't afford you. You have a head coaching position somewhere else. You're doing great there. Like, we'll bring you over when we can. So I was back and forth a lot, but from the beginning, it was kind of grassroots, him and his brother building it up from scratch.
And what were you coaching? Were you coaching CrossFit?
I was, yeah.
Oh, okay. So, okay. And then, so your kids are 4 and 2. So you had your first kid in 2019.
End of 18. Yeah.
Okay. And the 4-year-old's the boy or the girl?
The boy.
Hey, is that better to have the boy first or the girl first?
For us, definitely the boy, because he was, just came out of the gates wild and crazy, all boy. So I feel like it was definitely, when we had the girl, she's just a totally different speed. So I feel like that was a pretty good, cannonball intro into parenthood. We were ready for that next one.
What about the fact that like this I don't know, I think she's half Japanese, half, I don't know what she is, white girl, showed up at tennis and jiu-jitsu classes with my kids recently. She's 5, and she talks circles around my 8-year-old. Like I watch them talk, and he's like, she has a bigger vocabulary than him. She talks faster. She has better eye contact. She gesticulates better. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, my poor boys. They're like, if we would have had a girl first, they could have, like, they're just rocks, kind of.
Yeah,
like
it's totally different.
It's weird. Yeah, it's weird. I really didn't realize how different boys and girls were.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. Kai's cousin, he has a girl cousin who's about 9 months older, and you would think she's like probably 2+ years older, because she'll just run circles around him as well in all of those areas.
All of those areas, how they dress, like wash their hands, how they stand. It's like, it's crazy. They don't fidget as much. They listen better. Yeah, it's nuts. So I was thinking maybe it would have been better to have a girl first so that she could school the boy up.
That's true. I feel like it depends how you're looking at it, right? Because I feel like we were so in the ringer with him for the first 2 years until we had her. It was like, what's going on with him? He's wild. He's crazy. He has a ton of energy. He was a little bit slower to talk, things like that, where we were like just racking our heads with like, what's going on? And then, she comes and it's like smooth sailing with her. So I feel like having her allowed us to slow down a little bit. And then he caught up on everything. And I feel like right now at 4 and 2, it's awesome. But I don't know if I had her first and I wasn't prepared for what he would bring second, I feel like I would be crazy right now.
So it was kind of like a blessing. Oh, we got a girl. Did you panic when did you mean to get pregnant the second time?
Both of our pregnancies were very planned. Yeah.
Okay. So you weren't panicking. Like
Not
when my
at
wife
all.
got pregnant the second time, it was panic. Then she found out twins and she had like a 24-hour like meltdown.
Yeah, no, that's cause for a meltdown. That's a lot of information. We're definitely both planners, and Asia is not one to jump into something half-heartedly. So I would say it took some conversation and some swaying on my end to be like, we're doing this, and when you're ready, it's happening. So there was no surprises for us.
Michael C. Wow, Michael, you look just like me. That's a trip. Good morning, Asia. Good morning, Asia. My favorite event was the clean and jerk ladder when you tied for the win.
All right.
What year was that?
2013.
Yeah.
So Asia, you weren't keen on kids?
No, I didn't.
Me neither.
Growing up, I never thought myself to be a father, one that would have kids. But I tell this story a lot. It's like you find someone that you love dearly, and then you care equally as much as they care about things, and that's just kind of the road that we took. And so everything was very intentional when we decided to do what we decided to do, and plan, shall I say. But yeah, I never thought of myself as like, hey, I'm gonna have children. I'm gonna have much less two kids down the road.
And now, are you tripping? Is it? Are you completely different on that perspective, or?
I'm very grateful for the kids that we do have. I mean, anybody that has children, especially small children, they know that they're the greatest blessing, but also the greatest challenge as well. But I think the conversation on having more children is no longer a conversation. I think we're good at 2, but my perspective really hasn't changed much. And I guess I haven't really given that much thought on going back and being like, would I be am I going to be would I be a father or whatnot? But we're just kind of like riding the wave and enjoying the children and make it work.
Yeah. That is huge right there, right? To enjoy the children.
Yeah. We're just enjoying life with them.
Grandparents in the picture?
Yeah, our littlest one, Ruby, she's with Asia's mom right now at the house, and both of our parents and families live in Houston with us, so we get a lot of help and support, and we see them often, which is very nice. We try, like, we're definitely parents that like our kids with us rather than not. We don't plan vacations without our kids at this time in our lives. Like our life revolves around what will be fun, what's a fun outing for the kids to do. It's no longer about us. Like, we have to remind ourselves, like, we have great grandparents, send them to their house so we can go out and have dinner without kids, because our whole world just revolves around making them happy and fulfilling their days. So we're very fortunate to have our family here, but it definitely, is something that we don't take lightheartedly. We want to be as involved as possible in all of the things.
I didn't know how to word it, but you worded it perfectly. I'm not interested in really doing anything without my kids. I did have friends who I remember their kid was like 6 months old, 6 months, and they went to like South America for 2 weeks, the husband and wife on a vacation, and I just can't. I don't even know where to begin on how they did that. Because 2 weeks now would be hard for me. But that being said, every time I do drop the kids at my mom's house, every time I drop them off there, I don't want to, but like as soon as they're out of the car, I'm like, oh, it's an unexpected, like, holy shit.
You don't realize how turned on your nervous system is until you're in a car without kids.
Right.
Like I go out, I'll go out. I have like every other week I have a night out on Tuesdays to go to a class that I go to. And I'm like so stoked to go. I have no kids. And then I crash and I'm so tired. And it's this realization of like, this is the first time my nervous system has just been like, and settled, because I don't have a kid to worry about. And so it's funny because you think you're like excited to go out without kids. And then you realize I'm just tanked from always having the kids. And then you're ready to go back and pick them up.
Right. I'm never dreading it either. I've never once been like, oh shit, I shouldn't have dropped him off. It's always the opposite. It's like, dude, I should have dropped him off probably yesterday.
Totally. Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with them, I guess. It has to. You're right. You nailed it. It's you get to be yourself instead of dad, security officer, life coach, fucking referee. It's like you just get to. I'm nothing for a second. Right?
And then you're exhausted.
Let's stay focused here. Asia should have been a football player, could have been an NFL tight end or edge rusher. What's that mean? Edge rusher.
I think like a defensive end, maybe.
Okay. At 6'5", you're 6'5", Asia?
I am, yes.
Holy cow. Salary, some true mama talk. Well, thank you. I have a little bit of. Oh no, you're talking about Leah. Okay. And then so what is your relationship with BIRTHFIT?
So I'm their online.
Oh, sorry, Leah. One more thing. Are you full-time coaching now still?
No. So when I had Ruby 2 years ago, I'm out of the business essentially. I stay home with the kids for the most part. Yeah.
Okay. And then Asia, you're full-time coaching?
I am, yes.
Okay. Sorry. Back to the question. BIRTHFIT.
Yeah.
I had Lindsay on the show. I don't know if you guys knew.
Did you see that her and Lance are pregnant?
No.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's huge.
Wow.
Due end of this year, so super excited for them.
Wow, awesome. And BIRTHFIT's based out of Texas also?
Yeah, so I mean we're all virtual essentially, and Lindsay, moved here in end of 2018. She moved here and doulaed my birth. She was my doula at my first birth. So that was end of 2018. But yeah, she's in the Hill Country. I'm down here. I'm kind of her right-hand man. My official title is online programming director. I write a lot of our online programs, oversee them, answer questions, movements, all of those things.
And to tell me exactly how you guys met.
Lindsay and I?
Yeah.
I think it was, again, Asia and I both knew Lindsay just from being in the CrossFit world, the CrossFit mix. I think she had worked on a lot of people. We had a lot of mutual friends, things like that. So we were always kind of interconnected in that world. But I would say I went out I did a BIRTHFIT coach seminar early in 2017. And that was when we officially met for the first time.
As a participant?
Yes, I was a participant.
And why did you do it?
It's interesting to me. I always think about this because
here's why I asked that. Sorry, I interrupt a lot. Dave told me to quit saying sorry because I'm never sorry when I interrupt. So I apologize for saying sorry when I'm not sorry. So here you are, a tremendous athlete. I don't know where you come from, but obviously you were a tremendous athlete growing up, right? You were physical, you moved, then you go into CrossFit, which is the premier, software for the body in terms of eating and movement. How humble do you have to be to go to like BIRTHFIT? Like, why do that? You already know fucking everything. And your husband's a fucking one of the fittest men who ever walked planet Earth. Like, oh, sorry, over here. Why do BIRTHFIT? Like, what could they offer you guys?
Yeah, I think it was two things. Selfishly, it was for me. I always knew I wanted to be a mom, and I always had this feeling, like it always just resonated with me, even when I knew nothing about BIRTHFIT, of like, that is so cool to train for birth. Like knowing what I know, doing what I do in the CrossFit realm, whatever competitive realm, like it always was a big draw to me to be like, that's so cool to train a specific way in pregnancy. So selfishly, I wanted the information, but I also just had this big desire. Like I loved coaching women and I loved working with women. And I specifically remember having kind of like Asia and I were in his truck one day. We were sitting in our driveway, had just pulled up, and I had like a little bit of a breakdown moment where I was just like, I like love what I do, but I'm not fulfilled. And the only thing that keeps coming up for me is babies. And we weren't married at the time. Like,
couldn't you just let that thought go? It's just a thought.
Right,
couldn't you just let it go?
I wish.
Couldn't you just get a tattoo or something?
I was like, it wasn't
a nose piercing
for me. Like I wasn't ready to have babies, but I just felt like a calling to learn more. So that was just kind of my like, hey, let's see if this helps if I learn more to serve these women. Because I've been coaching women forever, and it was like I'm coaching all these pregnant women, but I'm just kind of like, yeah, this is smart. I can tell you how to train smart and tell you to trust your body, but I can't really specifically coach you, you know? So this was kind of this like moment for me to be like, okay, you could definitely be better here.
How old were you when you first started wanting a
17.
baby?
I mean, I knew I wanted a baby. I didn't, at that moment, I didn't want a baby, but it was just babies were coming up for me. And I think it was a BIRTHFIT kind of calling. But I would say I was in my late 20s, 28, probably.
This thing, my wife and I knew we were never going to have a baby, 100% certain. We knew we would never get married, and we knew we would never have a baby. We talked about it. It was a stupid idea. We're not going to get married. That's just what tools of the men do. Babies are ridiculous. And then at 39, she's like, hey, I was like, what? She's like, I think she pointed at Greg's wife who was breastfeeding. She's like, I want one of those. I'm like, what for? She's like, I want to experience that I want to see what it's like to feed the baby. I was like, all right. And it was literally, that was the conversation. And then she was pregnant. And then she had a miscarriage, and then she got pregnant again. But I think as boys, we don't really know what that, like, why would I guess we don't really understand. I don't understand the calling. Like, I understand wanting to play Frisbee with someone who's like a little kid, or like, I understand that. Like, I like doing that stuff, but like, I could just call Asia and me and him could go play Frisbee. I don't need a kid.
I remember having the conversation because Asia was the same. He was like, I don't care if we ever get married. His parents have been together forever. Didn't officially get married till like a year or two ago. But
shit, Asia, your parents just got married?
Yep.
That's awesome. Hey, are they happy? Sorry, Leah, are they happy they got married?
My folks?
Yeah.
I think their accountant was the one that told them it would be better if they did.
I think they legitimately got married for like tax purposes or business purposes.
That's why we got married too, but I'm so happy I did now. I feel so comfortable calling her my wife now. I wonder if you ask your parents that, I'd be curious to hear the answer someday.
My dad has a different opinion than my mom. My dad, I think, is quite fulfilled. He's wanted to do that for the longest time. And, he grew up with his parents getting married, early on and then spending the lives that they did together. Whereas my mom was the opposite. And so that's kind of where my perspective is like, I grew up, my parents have been together for 35, 40 years. And that's the same thing that I told Leah. I was like, we don't have to get married for me to be like eternally committed to you. But she had a different perspective on that and how she was raised and the family that she was raised in.
Yeah.
So we just had different perspectives there.
Yeah. My wife and I were on the same page, but once I got married, I was so happy. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'm like, it's weird. I just call her my wife now. It's so weird, but it feels great. It feels great. Okay. So but women have like some sort of calling. Like, look here's Trish. She's 67. I'm 67 years old and giving birth in June.
Wow.
No, she's not. She's not, but she thinks she is. Congratulations, Trish. Just play along.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
Good
remarkable.
For you, Trish.
Truly. Yes. Congratulations, Trish. You guys have a different calling than us.
I mean, yeah, it's in our, I believe that we were put on this earth to do that. We're nurturers, we're moms, we're like, it's in us. And so, like I said, like I knew forever I was going to be a mom. I didn't know when, and I wasn't craving it at that moment. But I know that when Asia told me he didn't want kids at all, because like I said, he's all or nothing. He was focused on competing, focused on the gym. And I was very clear. I was like, I will have kids. So if we're going to do this, we're either going to do it together, or we need to go our separate directions. So he knew it was coming. But even when we had the official conversation of let's start trying and we're ready, it was like, he's like, I just envision like we could go on vacation together and spend time just you and I. And, I'm like, or we could have kids and you're going to be the best dad. And it's just, it's crazy how I have that in me and he's more focused on me. I'm more focused on building the family.
You know what I think happened? You said, listen to this. This is a direct quote from what you said earlier. Asia and I were in his truck. Now, listen, it's part humor, but it's true. You were with a man in a truck and your body knew, because biologically women are supposed to have babies. Oh, I got a man and he got a truck. And he's really driven. Like, who gives a fuck what it's about? He's really driven and focused. And I'm going to have a baby with this dude. These are three important elements. It's a man. It's big and strong. He has a truck. and he's driven and committed and focused. It's like, dude, he did it to himself.
It's like a country song.
Yeah, he's like, he chummed the water. Of course I got someone pregnant. I have a truck, I'm big and strong, and I'm focused and committed to my job. Like what? Yeah, he did it to himself. Right. Good job, by the way. Congratulations. Great catch. Great. I mean, it's by, as soon as you start talking, I'm like, yeah, that's what you guys are supposed to do. That's part of your, and don't get me wrong, for anyone, I'm not poo-pooing women who don't have babies. I'm just saying, if you have a Ferrari and you never take it into sixth gear, then did you really have a Ferrari? Well, I guess that is harsh, but but it's kind of is what it is. Okay, and so you went to the BIRTHFIT class. Does Asia go with you?
No, he stays back.
And tell me, it's a 1 or 2 day seminar, and is it only for girls or is it for boys too?
It was a full weekend seminar. It was open to men, but it's going to be 99% women. And I went and I learned a ton, and it lit me up, and that's what inspired me to become a doula. Was like, oh, all this information, like in certain areas of health where you're like, the world is failing us. They don't teach us these things. Like people need to know whatever the information is. I have to be the one to tell them. So then you find out how the system is failing women, and not just in the fitness world, but just actually giving birth and recovering postpartum. And it's like, I have this responsibility to be better, to better this for them, to give them this information. So that kind of lit me up. I started coaching more. I became a doula, started attending births, and just, kind of fell in love with birth.
Do you enjoy being at births?
I do. It's different now with kids. I pick and choose, and it's got to be a great fit. I do pretty much only birth center or home births. I don't really do hospital births anymore. But I feel like I know that I'm done having kids, but it never is less amazing watching babies come into this world.
Do you think something like actually magical is happening? Do you think anything like unexplainable is happening, or it just kind of seems like that because the process is so crazy, because it's so like awe-inspiring? Or do you think that like actually like I don't know, I'm gonna just make this up, but like 5 generations from your family spirits are in the room too? Because when my 3 kids were born, it was some weird shit.
Yeah, I mean, birth is,
I want to say it was just me, but it seemed like there was some other shit going on, magical shit.
It's a spiritual portal, right? It's the closest, like birth and death are the closest you're going to be to another realm, whatever you believe in. And so I absolutely believe that there's, other things happening in the room. I think people believe in different things. People get their source from God, from, a crystal in the room. I don't know what it is, but it could be different for everyone. But I think like so many stars and so many different things have to align for the birth process to occur that I don't think it's random.
Yeah, it's crazy that you guys only are able to get pregnant once a month. I guess that's good.
Yeah.
And do you work at BIRTHFIT also, Asia?
I don't know, but I have. We've hosted BIRTHFIT seminars in our gym space, and I've partaken in the seminar when they were running the seminar, and it's powerful knowledge and information to have from a coaching perspective too. Because the reality of things is like I'm not void of being able to work with women and women on their pregnancy journey or their postpartum journey. Like I know where my role is on, delivering services or referring out, but it's powerful information to know. And just being associated with my wife and her obviously affiliation with BIRTHFIT has really widened my perspective and brought me newfound knowledge that I never had originally.
And who goes to the 2-day class? Women who were, wow, look at that position right there. Holy smokes.
Yeah, that's at a birth. That was a birth I attended. So that's in forward leaning inversion, getting the baby to move positions a little bit, getting some pressure off of mom. But yeah, that's why birth is an
I don't remember
event.
Haley doing that one.
You've got to, someone who is not strong is not going to be able to get in that position in the middle of a contraction.
No. Who goes to the seminars? 1 month pregnant or after you've had the kids, or who goes to that?
So we're pretty much all online now. We haven't done anything in person in a year or so, but It's typically for anyone who wants to work in person with women. So this is chiropractors, this is CrossFit coaches, personal trainers. We've had midwives, lactation consultants. I mean, anyone in the birth realm who wants to be hands-on with women in the fitness realm is who we're working towards.
Okay. So, oh, wow, that was much broader than I thought. So my perspective on it was all jacked up. I went to a birthing class with my wife. We went to a hypnobirthing. I don't even remember what it was, but it was just cool because it was 3 hours once a week, and we just got to sit on a little couch together for 3 hours once a week for like 6 weeks. That was cool. That's probably the most time me and my wife ever spent together. And but that's for pregnant women. BirthFit is for anyone, whether you're pregnant or not pregnant, or you're basically if you're a coach and you deal with women at all, BirthFit has something huge for you.
Absolutely. And so our education is going to be more from the coaching, the professional standpoint. Our programs are going to be for someone in a specific part of that motherhood transition, preconception, prenatal, postpartum, life postpartum, things like that. So there's the fitness side, and then there's the education side.
I'm scared to click this one here. Are you doing burpees pregnant? Because I'm so opinionated.
Click it.
Do it.
All right, here we go. Are you doing burpees pregnant? Uh-oh. Stop. Oh. I just don't think that I just don't think it's necessary to do box jumps and me personally, and get inverted and jump rope when you're pregnant. I don't the same way I don't think you should drink coffee or wine, or caffeine or wine. It's just me. It's just something. I think if you have to ask, then you should really think twice. Okay, stop. Try these instead. Okay, I'm enjoying this. A squat, elevated push up, anything else. So what does that mean? Elevated squat, elevated push up.
So
as separate movements.
Yeah,
okay.
Replacing.
Right. Because and some people have even tried to do burpees, right? They try to stack plates along the side, and then they do the burpees so that the stomach could go between. But it just something doesn't.
Why?
Yeah. And then there's obviously this question: what's your opinion about Tia's workout? It's hard for me to have even any opinion about Tia because she's not even human. Right. So it's I don't want to judge her. I don't want to judge her. Do you want to judge her?
No, we get this question a lot. I can't, my DMs are filled with people, forwarding me videos of professional athletes working out when they're pregnant. Can you believe they're doing this? And, I would never throw shade on Tia in that regard. She is, arguably
how can you?
The most dominant female athlete, out there. Do I wish that she could enter a different mindset in pregnancy? I totally do. I wish she could experience more of the feminine realm of being in touch with her training for birth versus training in her sport, but modifying for pregnancy. I do wish that for her.
That's very controversial. Can you give us an example?
Yeah, for sure.
By the way, very well said. That's about as gentle as you could say it. Very well said.
I think we say this a lot in BirthFit, that you are in season for birth, right? Because we work with a lot of athletes. And so we're used to training in season. So if you're taking the CrossFit Games, you're off season when you're, building up strength, laying off the Metcon work, and then you get ready for the Open, you start laying on the Metcons. And then, as it advances, your training changes to culminate where if you're a games athlete, it's changing until you get to game day or games week or whatever it is, right? There's a time for things to be ramped up. There's back off periods, there's recovery, all of those things. And so birth is this perfect 9-10 month window where you can train to be in season for birth, for the big event. And so taking that mindset to one of the things that we say is just because you can doesn't mean that you should. Is my training helping me get closer to the birth that I want to accomplish? Or am I stuck in my identity as an athlete? And so we live in this very masculine minded world, like CrossFit, right? It's measurable. There's percentages. You count your calories, you count your macros, but there is no other period in a woman's life that calls her into her feminine more than pregnancy. It's calling you in to be engaged with your body, to be intuitive, to know what you're feeling on a daily basis, to determine, I'm not going to tell my body what it gets to eat. I'm not going to tell my body how it has to move. I'm going to have more of an intuitive approach of what's appropriate for today. How am I feeling for today? You know, there's all these blanket statements, do this, don't do this. Is what Tia's doing harmful for her baby? No, her baby's fine in there, but could it give her further repercussions postpartum? Physically, yes. Like if we're not respecting the physiological process of how our body is designed to change, there's going to be more detriment in the postpartum, as well as not getting into that feminine realm that pregnancy is calling you to. I personally believe, and my opinion is, that's what leads to worse postpartum mood, anxiety, depression, things like that, because you're so disassociated from your body, but now you don't even know this body that you're in, and you're just battling this world of like, I used to be able to tell my body what to do. I used to be able to tell this. Now I don't even recognize my body. And you're just so disassociated that it ends up being anxiety, depression, you know, those kinds of things. So I just think that pregnancy is this beautiful window of time to train very specifically for birth, and allowing yourself to, for the first time ever, let go of expectations of sport or of other people, and to hone in on this like sacred feminine time with your body and your baby.
Can you give me like a superficial example of that? The one that comes to mind is, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think my wife just stopped doing pull-ups. She loved pull-ups, and the second she got pregnant, she stopped doing pull-ups. I'm like, why'd you stop doing pull-ups? She goes, it just doesn't feel right. And yeah, I think she specifically said around her stomach and her diastasis, but she's like, hey, this body now is not supposed to hang anymore.
Yeah, you feel it. You literally are getting communication from your body of this doesn't feel right. And so, so like the hanging, the swinging, right? So your linea alba, your abs basically have that tissue in between. And we have this beautiful hormone called relaxin in pregnancy that allows for those tissues to expand. So your rib cage, everything is widening. And so if you're hanging and swinging through ranges of motion like that, like the natural process is to separate. But if we're not respecting the integrity of that tissue, when you're postpartum, it's not just going to come together and approximate. You're going to have a lot of damage and connective tissue to start healing. So it's that feeling of like, hey, hanging, like I'm just going to hang on the bar for my warm up today. Maybe at 10 weeks it felt good, but now I'm 17 weeks and it's like, oh, that doesn't feel right for today. So what can I do instead? And it's just having that ability to listen to your body, but also stepping away from like the ego side and being like, this is what's more appropriate for today. If I'm training for birth and my end goal is this birth that I want, what could I do instead of, swinging from a bar and doing a pull-up?
Asia, Leah was saying that it's like, or someone was saying that it's mostly women who take the class, but it sounds like everyone should be taking it. It sounds like every class should be like 50-50.
Yeah.
Maybe even more men should be taking it. Maybe it should be 70-30. Maybe men, because they have no experience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whether you're a coach or a business owner, or you work in the fitness realm, you're like I mentioned, you're not going to be void of working with women. And a lot of times the information that's out there for women on their pregnancy or postpartum journey, there's not a lot of information, much less accurate information, the way that BIRTHFIT is producing theirs. And so I think it's very valuable, not just from a coaching standpoint, but I think from a supportive spouse and husband standpoint, I think it's good to gain this information and knowledge so that you can support them as best as you can on that 9-10 month journey, and then through the delivery as well.
Specifically, sorry if this is redundant what you said, but if I'm a coach and a pregnant woman walks in, or if I have a member and they're like, hey, I'm pregnant and I think I'm gonna take a break from the gym, if you've done the BIRTHFIT class, you can be like, hey, by the way, I've worked with 15 other women who have been pregnant. I'm also went to the BIRTHFIT class. Here's a great resource for you. Go to their Instagram account for starters, but also still come to the gym. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. The gym can still be a place that you come and hang out. We're just gonna change some of the demands on your body.
Yeah, I think in that sense too, there's a lot of belief breaking as well, because when women are going amongst their journey, there's a lot of information sometimes that's kind of deterring them away from moving their body, lifting weights, staying within their fitness routine. But I've seen it firsthand with my wife and other women that we've created relationships with is the fitness aspect of their pregnancy journey has led to the most desirable birth experience that they wanted versus the opposite. And, you know, Leah and BIRTHFIT has kind of coined this phrase, and I always go back to it, but it's like birth is the most vigorous and physical like event in your life that you are training for. Like, why wouldn't you train for it? It's the same way as if you sign up for a marathon in a year, you're not going to not run any. It's the same thing with the birthing experience. Like when you've seen it too, when you birth that baby, that's a marathon of an event. Why not get your mind, body, and spirit prepared for that event by doing the things that are necessary to get your mind, body, and spirit prepared for that event?
Isn't it funny? Like, I don't know, let's say 15 years ago or 10 years ago, we would have been telling women, hey, don't worry, it's okay to work out when you're pregnant. And now the community has grown so big, and we have such a dedicated and compelled group that now we have to be like, okay, there's a group that's, I don't want to say gone too far, it's an oversimplistic, but now we have to bring some of them back. Okay, we know it's okay to work out, but like you guys are saying, it has to be worked out for this kind of athlete now. It's crazy, right? We've come so far from, hey, you should just be at home watching soap operas, to now like, whoa, let's take some of this energy and bring it back. Like, I wonder, I want, is walking a huge component of training for, is BIRTHFIT like huge proponents of walking?
Yeah, love walking.
Love walking, right? Because you think, I'm trying to think of all the women that I spent a lot of time in Africa, and it's the image in my head. I saw pregnant women just walking everywhere, and shitloads of walking, carrying stuff, carrying a baby in the back, a bucket of water on the head, and a 10-mile walk in the morning, 10-mile walk at night.
So much benefit.
Yeah, as opposed to, and
well,
that's probably hard for a CrossFitter to do. Just be like, hey, I'm toning this down to a 5-mile walk.
Right. There's two realms. Like you said, we still have doctors that are saying, don't lift above 20 pounds, don't get your heart rate above 140. But then we have this world of like, don't change anything that you're doing, go hard so that, you know, your recovery, like as soon as you have that baby, you're not going to miss out on next year's competitive season. You know, there's like these two realms. And I think what people forget is like so much of our physical preparation for birth, I mean, it's important, but birth is a spiritual event. And if you're not preparing your mind for it, you can't, like, I will share, this is anecdotal. This is my experience. I attend a ton of births out of hospital, and the number one transfer outside, like, okay, first time births, because they're longer, moms either want rest or they want pain management, or their strength and conditioning or CrossFit athletes are a big part of our transfers. And it's because the CrossFit world has done an amazing job at getting comfortable with discomfort, working through pain, working through discomfort. You can't out-fitness birth. And so what we see is women who don't have the ability, their inability to let go, to soften their pelvic floor, to relax, to let these things happen. They're constantly trying to run from it, to outwork it, to outperform it. And birth doesn't work that way. So there's this beautiful kind of relationship of, you have to physically be able to endure, but you also have to mentally be able to soften and surrender. And I think that in the fitness world and the CrossFit world, we get really good at the physical, but we lose fat. And that's why I go back to like that feminine calling is like, you have to know how to soften, how to surrender, how to let this overcome you. You can't run from it. And so I think that's where we're different in BIRTHFIT, is like, you are training for this birth. You're not just training because you're pregnant.
Wow. That's you said, that's amazing what you just said. That is, but by the way, for people who don't know, when she says transfer, I think what Leah's referring to is people who start a birth at home and for one reason or another get moved to a hospital. So, and she said the two things were obviously pain management. Someone just is like, fuck, I can't take it anymore. And then you get in the car and you go and they give you whatever that thing is in your spine or whatever. They inject you with some shit, make you numb. Yes. And then the other thing, so you're basically saying you have to be fit enough to do Fran, but there's a point where you have to surrender and you're not going to be doing Fran and rely on just the fact that you did Fran. but you have to surrender. No more thrusters, metaphorically speaking, for you.
Correct. Yeah, you've got to surrender. You've got to be able to say, I'm not running from this. I'm not out toughening it. Like, I'm letting it overcome me. I'm trusting my body's ability. I'm trusting all the training that I've done to carry me, but I'm letting go at this point. And that's when the body opens up and the baby comes. But if we don't get to that point, that's when it takes more intervention, or, you know, things could take a turn.
That's why we ended up having a home birth, by the way. So that was like one of the catalysts. We so wanted to have a hospital birth. So like, it was our goal. Like, fuck no, we're not doing that weirdo shit, having a baby at home. That's dangerous. And then while we were in this class, they gave an example, and they weren't even trying to talk us into a home birth. They just gave an example of a woman who was basically dead. She was still, and they were keeping her alive because she was pregnant, and that she actually birthed a baby vaginally. Like, the body just still pushed the baby out because it goes through all the chemicals that cause the muscles to sequence in the right order to push a baby out. And when I heard that, I remember driving home with my wife and being like, holy shit. Basically, she just told us women have to get out of the way so the baby can come out. And I was like, that sounded just crazy to me. But at that point, we knew we're not made for a hospital birth.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for it. Absolutely. But low risk births are not need for medical intervention. And you go to the hospital because you're sick or something's wrong and they fix you, but there's nothing wrong with you when you're pregnant. Obviously there's outliers, there's higher risk births and things like that. But even of that, like, what is truly high risk versus what is the hospital and their, you know, overhead liability team deeming as high risk. So, you know, you've got to weigh those things. It's not for everyone. And I'm not saying that a hospital birth is bad, but I'm just saying that our bodies are made to birth these babies. And we all, you know, I had 2 home births, and I have people all the time that are like, I just wish I could do that. And I'm like, you have the same parts as me. You were designed the same way I am. You could do that. It's a mindset. And it's, you know, it's getting fear out of the way and trusting innately what you were created to do.
Is Lindsay's the creator of BIRTHFIT?
Yeah, she's the founder. Yeah.
And is she a midwife?
She's not a midwife. She's a chiropractor, but she's also a doula.
Okay. And do you know why she started it?
Yeah, so she was chiropractor, body worker in like the Hollywood realm, and she was working on some really high-end A-list actors, traveling the world with them. And I would say early, probably like 2012, 2013-ish, she was working with a female who was pregnant, but was cast for a role, you know, the following year, and basically came to Lindsay and was like, I need to have this baby and be ready for this role and ready to shoot by this date. What do I do? And Lindsay was like, I don't know. Let me do some research. And then upon researching, she realized there's not much out there. But of everything she could find, it was basically a natural, or I would say a unmedicated vaginal birth is going to yield the quickest recovery and allow for her body to recover postpartum in a manner that she could get back. So that
lady probably hated hearing that.
Right. But she did it, and she did awesome. And so that led Lindsay down the rabbit hole of like, why don't we know this? Like, why isn't this, everyone's told to just go do it this way? Why don't we know that it can also be done this way? So she started a blog, which turned into, you know, a bigger thing. Then she started having seminars, then she hired a staff, and here we are.
Yeah. Crazy. It never gets old looking at pregnant women.
It's fascinating.
I want us to go back to Tia one more thing. That I do really enjoy her pregnant videos. Like, as much as like, I'm like, what is she doing? She, like, in my mind, she shouldn't be doing that. I absolutely love watching her move when she's pregnant. I'm absolutely mesmerized by the fact that there's a kid in there, and that her body is like this. Like, this is crazy. That's a baby in there, like dangling from her midsection.
And, you know, research actually shows like a healthier, fitter mom yields a healthier, fitter baby. And so it's like when you watch these pregnant women move like this, it's like they're literally impacting like the genes for their children to be better, you know, harder to kill humans, which is phenomenal.
What do you think? I know this is probably off subject why you thought you came on here, but what do you think about these women who you talk about this 9 or 10 month window that is to embrace the feminine, the opposite of the pickup truck. And what do you think about how quickly some of these women then are back into the sport? I don't know if the sport is masculine, but like this, I mean, what Annie Thorsdottir did is kind of like, it's just fucking, I can't even believe it happened. Or there was a girl on Tommy Hackenbrook's team. I don't know if you remember this, Asia, this black girl, when she was on the teams, she's breastfeeding in between the events with a smile on her face. She was amazing. I forget who she is. She was amazing. What do you think about that? Is that a missed opportunity for those women too? I mean, I know that's a bit controversial, but because part of me is like crazy impressed with what Annie's doing. And part of me is like, man, don't you want to do like what my wife did? Look so fun. Just take a baby everywhere with you and feed it for 12 months. I thought she was, or 18 months, whatever she did.
Yeah.
Do you have thoughts on that?
I do. It's hard when you are a competitive professional athlete and you still have skin in the game. I get it. Like you are pulled in many directions. The thing that I always say is, though these women are like anomalies when it comes to their physical feats. Yeah. They all go.
She got on the podium.
I mean,
she got on the podium after she gave birth. It's like, what?
It's incredible. It's unheard of. And I think first thing, people have to realize that they're not her. Right. Like you're not going to do what she did, and very few people ever will. Right. But they aren't exempt from the trauma and everything that comes with post-birth. So she also has a pelvic floor and an abdominal wall that's crazy gnarly. That's, she's done a lot of damage that we all do in birth. And so she also bleeds for 4 weeks postpartum. She also probably has a ton of core pelvic floor dysfunction, pains, things that go on behind the scenes that people don't see. So what she did was absolutely phenomenal. Do I think it's the best thing? No, I wish women could give it at minimum a year of dedicated rehab and building back. But I also respect the fact that she's capable of these things. She's a competitive athlete. Her identity is still probably very much athlete. And she's torn between athlete and mom. She's doing both, and she's probably doing great at both. But if we could encourage that year window, I think women would be in a much better place. But yes, it's like, I just like to say, out of everything, like no one is exempt from what happens postpartum, from, the bleeding to the incontinence to all the recovery things. And so she probably has some shit to deal with on the back end that you don't see. And she's worded it. I've actually seen a comment where she talks about it. She speaks about it very well. She's very aware that things aren't the way that they should be, but she's working through them. Is she probably more susceptible for like a major injury? Like I know she's had a major back injury. Yes, she probably is. And I hope that's not the case, but there's a lot of things that she probably has to do on the back end to keep her at that level that maybe if she took the year off and didn't do that, she might even be a stronger version of that.
When Annie Sakamoto did the same thing, I don't remember like how quickly she came back, but I remember she was kind of like the first one that we saw publicly that was like, holy shit, she had a baby and then got back into just crazy shape.
Yeah. And Val Vobril.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible.
Asia, what do you think? What do you think dudes should do? How do you think dudes can support that? Your wife's a professional athlete. She's killing it, and she has a baby. What do we say to them? They want to get back on the horse.
Well, I think it comes with,
or even if they don't want to get on the horse, how do we massage it so it's like good for them mentally?
That's a tough conversation that I think depends on the two people they're having it and experiencing it. Fortunately, on my end, it's like my wife is as educated in what's right for her, and we were out of our competitive years to where it really wasn't a conversation. She understood what was necessary for her leading up to the birth and then after the birth as well. But this is a really great conversation that we're having, because like optimal health and optimal recovery doesn't always equal optimal performance. And if these women are still very much in their competitive career, if we're speaking of CrossFit women athletes that have just given birth, like there kind of has to be a trade-off there, unless of course they're competitive career is coming to an end or is winding down or is ended, like there has to be some sort of trade-off there. And so from the male's perspective, it's like you can really only do so much if, you know, your significant other or your wife is the one who is competing at a high level or is doing something specific. It's a different story if you're average Jane and Joe's, but it's like you've got to support her where and when you can. You got to do the best that you can to be able to do that. But in our situation specifically, like I was very much at the wayside. Like she was the one that was leading a lot of the decisions. She was the one that was educating me. I was getting educated along the process, and it feels phenomenal to be like, oh, you know what? I cover these things within our family and our relationship. I don't have to worry about these things because I'm just going to trust that she has our family's best interest in mind. And a lot of that came down to not just the pre-birthing period, but the birth experience itself. Like I'm going into a room with my wife being who she is, having the knowledge base that she has. Lindsay, essentially, you know, founder of BIRTHFIT, is our doula. And then our midwife has 2,500 natural births under her belt. It's like, I literally can just sit back on this couch and take a nap. Everything is pretty much taken care of. But we had conversations leading up to that point to get ourselves in the right frame of mind to know what my role was and how I could be most supportive of her in that experience. And I had very minimal things to do, but you better believe the things that she wanted and needed from me, I was doing to the best of my ability. But it was very small and minuscule things in the grand scheme of things.
Even after the baby came out, I felt like, like my shit was easy. Yeah. I had to just make sure she had a situation where she could feed the baby.
Yeah. I was the dude that ran to Denny's at 2 a.m. or 5 a.m. to get her a Grand Slam breakfast, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll take that job all day long.
Yeah. I'll peel a cantaloupe and put a bag of almonds or you fill a bag full of almonds. No problem.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I didn't change a diaper with either kid for the first 2 weeks. Asia woke up and would always do the diaper, hand the baby to me. I would feed. So yeah, he was on Denny's like post-birth, but I think talking about like that immediate postpartum window where like all of my meals were prepared. It felt like a spa. The second time my birth with Ruby, it felt like a spa at the house. Like I had 30 days lined up for him. A schedule of what I wanted each day. And I would wake up and he would take the baby and be like, hey, these herbs are in the bath. There's a cup of tea there for you. Use this oil. Like I wrote it all out for him. But then when the time came, it was like, he just executed and did it. And I didn't have to think about it. And that was like, I think so much about postpartum depression and anxiety and all of the mood disorders comes from feeling a lack of support. And I felt so supported.
Wow.
So that was like that first. And I remember with my first being like, oh, I could sit on the couch and help fold these clothes. And he was like, no, like you sit there, you feed the baby, like you don't need to vacuum. It was just like, I needed those reminders. I needed for him to stand up and be like, no, like you just do this. This is your only time to just sit here with the baby on you and soak it all in. Do what you need to do for the baby.
Yeah. The clothes will be fine not being folded for 2 months. Is that what you said, Asia?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, support is such a good word.
I just hide them. Did you fold them? Absolutely. What do you need? I'll bring it to you.
Throw them on the ground, kick them under the rug.
Just have piles. I got this new system. Pile of underwear, pile of shirts, pile of pants. What you need. The folding thing's so old school.
Asia knows all about that.
Yeah. I think, just to follow up on that point, you know, support is such a good word because, you know, we were in a place where I was fortunate enough to be able to step away from work and the business for a good while. But it's like the reality of things from the husband or the partner or the male's perspective is like in that initial, you know, 30 to 60 days, essentially, maybe even more, like you have a little role in that child's life in the sense of all that baby wants is milk. It wants to sleep. It wants to poop. And more times than not, the mom is who is going to be the most, like the best person to be able to deliver on that. So my perspective going into it is like, how can I completely like eliminate all things within my schedule, completely be as selfless as possible to support her in that realm. And that does come down to, you know, doing all of the tasks, doing all the laundry, cooking all the foods, making her feel as supported and as comfortable as possible is honestly the best thing that like partners can do for their significant others so that they can not only recover, but they can put 100% of their focus into, you know, getting the child up and going in those first 30 to 60 days. I mean, it's a long amount of time. And in the real world, Not everybody has the opportunity to dedicate to that, but just taking that mentality shift on like, you know what, I'm going to put myself to the side for a moment and focus 100% on, you know, my wife, my significant other, whatever it is, and help support them and help them get back on their feet so they can do what's necessary for the child.
Leah, this is zero exaggeration, what I'm about to tell you. And zero exaggeration. When my wife had the twins, she had them, we had a small house, 860 square feet, and she had them in the living room, which was probably like 15 feet from the front door. And then our back bedroom was another 15 feet behind that. She had them in the living room, and then basically one in the living room, one in the bathroom, while she was like moving. One just fell out. And and then she retreated to the bedroom, right? And after, you know, the doulas and the midwives are gone, and I'm cleaning up, and my wife didn't come out past the living room where she gave birth for 3 months. Now we had a sliding glass door where light came into our bedroom, huge sliding glass door. She didn't until for 3 months she stayed in between the bedroom and the living room basically, and just fed 2 babies. Never once. And we had another kid at that time. So basically for 3 months, and I really didn't know that kid. I mean, because that kid had been feeding for 18 months. I mean, I knew him, you know what I mean? I changed 3 gazillion diapers, but like he was and then all of a sudden he was mine.
Right.
Greatest 3 months of my life. I got him all along, and that was hard for her, right? Because she was like, she had him, she was raising him for 18 months, and then he's just gone basically. She only saw him at night then basically. I mean, that's a little exaggeration, but literally. And I remember the first time after 3 months, she came outside. I bought a minivan and came home and surprised her with it, a brand new one. I'm like, you want to come out and look at it? And she went to the front door. She's like, oh, cool. It was nuts.
Yeah, but it's like,
and she was happy. She never bitched nothing.
It's almost
content.
Instinctual though, right?
Yeah.
It's like your own little cave. Like you're protecting the cave, and all of her little cubs are inside, and she has everything that she needs. And it's like,
text me shit to get at Whole Foods. Go get this. Yes, ma'am.
It's just instinctual. I think if you
it was beautiful, by the way, it was beautiful. She was so happy. If
you give yourself the ability to slow down, it feels right. But society doesn't necessarily allow for that.
The first baby, she did try, like Avi, I think she tried to go for a walk after 2 weeks, and she started bleeding, and she's like, fuck that, I'm coming back inside and feeding.
Yeah.
And my wife's crazy active. Like, she's a piece of steel. Her body's crazy. I actually was thinking when you guys came on today this morning, I have 2 6-year-olds and an 8-year-old, and I think like she's, for whatever normal means, you know, I think she's like, I'd say as of today, what's today? April 18th, 2023. Now she's finally back to normal. It took her 6 years. Or you know, that after having twins. All right, that I think I got my wife. Like, I mean, she's still a mom. I noticed something else you guys have in here. When a baby is born, remember a mother is born too. That's like, I guess we touched on that with like Tia and Annie too. Like, are they aware that also a mother is born?
Yeah, you've got to mother the mother, right? Like it's a new version of you. There's like talks about
who's
archetypes.
A baby. It's a baby, 2 babies, a baby mother and a baby.
Yeah. And you've just given birth to this newest version. And so there's like that mourning period, because there is a brief period where you're almost like grieving or mourning your former self. Like you will never be pre-baby again. You will never be that pre-baby person. You're still the same person, but you're evolved. And so I think there is that grieving period, and which leads to a lot of, you know, tough times for moms, because when we're so attached to our former identity, we can't take claim to our new identity. And so I think so much of that training for birth, tapping into your feminine, you know, learning to surrender, is teaching us what's needed for early motherhood. And I think if we don't take the time to do that, you're going to be suffering in between the two.
Yeah. And that's why it's like after 6 years, I said my wife's back to normal, but I bet you she still doesn't. My wife used to sleep like a rock. Now I can tell she's a lion in the field, a lioness in the field.
Always
and if she's on. She's on. Like if I hear something at night, she'll be like, "Did you hear that?" And I'll be like, "Damn, this girl's good." Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's like awake too. She heard that too.
You're never the same. You're forever different. That's for sure.
Yeah. I never asked my wife if she had any hard times or mourned her old self. I should ask her that. We also, do you think that there's an ideal, do you think it's you think there's an ideal age to have a baby? My wife didn't have her first one until she was 39.
I don't. I mean, if you're looking on medical paper, when the clock strikes midnight and you turn 35, you're having a geriatric pregnancy and you're
Right.
old and high risk.
Yeah, she was always high risk.
Right. But like, she's probably healthier than many 29-year-olds.
Right. And since we went the midwife route, she wasn't high risk. But I mean, yeah, right. The medical route, she is high risk. But they looked at her and they're like, yo, girl, you're good. You know,
if you're looking back, you know, hundreds of years, women were giving birth at 13 years old, and that was prime time. And now it's getting later and later. I don't think there's a perfect time. Is it harder to recover? Is it harder just, you know, with hormones and a cyclical, you know, women are cyclical beings. We're constantly changing. Hormones are changing. We're different every day. Like, I think there's definitely going to be more obstacles a little bit later on in, you know, replenishing nutrients and things like that, managing hormones. But I still, like, I know women in their 40s that are giving birth who are doing a phenomenal job, and you'd never know. So I don't know that I would say there's an ideal time. I could say that certain aspects of things get a little bit tougher, probably.
Yeah, she had the twins at 43 at home. I'm sure she would have probably, if she would have had those 5 years earlier, she probably would have recovered probably faster.
Yeah.
That being said, if 10 years earlier, maybe not, because she didn't have CrossFit, which is kind of a trip, right?
Yeah. And just the mental, like the evolution of who you are as a human in 5 or 10 years, like you're like a different person, you know? So it's like, would she even mentally have been ready or prepared to care for 2 twins like that? Like,
well, that's the thing. That's the thing, right? So up until this point, we've been talking about physical, you know, in this last couple minutes, but mentally, I can't imagine. I'm 51. I can't imagine having a baby at 31. Not, I mean, I was living at her house rent free at 31. I was not meant to do. At 34, I was living at her house rent free. I can't imagine. That's the part I have trouble getting my head wrapped around. I can't see either of us having a baby in our 20s or 30s. I guess maybe I would have stepped up, but I was still doing naughty shit in those years. I was naughty for a long until I was like 40 doing dumb shit. I still do dumb shit once in a while.
Old habits die hard.
Yeah. And by dumb shit, I mean like once you have kids, you can't get so drunk that you can't drive someone to the hospital. Like you just can't do that anymore. You have to be like, you just can't, or you're a negligent parent. Like someone gave me these 2 hits of MDMA like 10 years ago and they're still sitting in my drawer. I could never take those and enjoy those because like, how the fuck am I supposed to do that? What if someone falls down and needs to go to the hospital and I'm just rolling?
Right. And you have those like irrational, but also not irrational, like fears in the back of your head. Cause you're like, now I have these humans to care for.
Yeah. And I'm happy to have those. I'm glad my kids are preventing me from being a drug addict. It's awesome.
I mean, it changes so much though. Like look at our training. Asia doesn't miss a day of training. I miss a few here and there, but like our training is now 30, 45 minutes in the garage while one's at school and one's napping, or, you know, it's like, your whole world just changes and you adapt to it. Like, what if we were still living in that window of like, oh, I need 3 hours to get in 2 sessions. Like you can't fully show up for your kids. I shouldn't say you can't, maybe people are, but I can't fathom being in that mindset and also trying to care for kids.
Yeah. I don't miss either. And but even if that means I have to work out at midnight, I don't miss, I have to sweat. I'm going to do that. I'm going to, and kind of like at the point where it becomes like midnight and I haven't worked out yet, I'm going in there to punish myself because like, hey, you should have managed that time better. You should have like brought some books into the gym and made them read or watch you, or you should have figured it out. You fucked up. I never blame them. That's stupid. I never blame them for like, hey, I couldn't work out. I have kids. No, I didn't train them right so that I can work out. I don't know if you know, I mean, you probably do. I'm like so ecstatic about having kids. It's like everything to me. Like I don't give, like a couple weeks ago, I got kicked off of YouTube, or I lost my Instagram account, you know, with the blue check mark, and people are like, are you sad? And it's like, I can never be sad because in 20 minutes, I'm going to be at the skate park. You know what I mean? And someone's going to be like, yo, Heidi, that's Dad. And I'm going to check this out. And I'm going to be like, that's me. And someone wants me to come watch something and I'm going to do it. It's like, for me, I don't give. I don't know why, but I got rewired. Barry, my cockiner, for $5. Can Asia talk about his training after transitioning from CrossFit? No, he can't. That'll be $10. Okay, go ahead, Asia.
Yeah, Leah brought a good point. I was just thinking about this the other day, is like perspectives change and priorities change. And like, yeah, our I like to move every single day. If I'm not kind of like you, where it's by midnight, if I haven't gotten training and I'm going to train, I prioritize my sleep as much as I can get nowadays, more than maybe physical activity. But my training or my exercise or whatnot looks different. I basically follow and test out a lot of the training that we do within our gym space, but that oftentimes is 30 to 45 minutes. And it's in a window where, like Leah had mentioned, my son's at school, my daughter is sleeping. But there are multiple times where they come down and they, quote unquote, might interrupt our training session. And instead of throwing our hands up and stopping where we're at, we make the best of it. Mm-hmm. And there's been times where I know that, I like to move a little bit more often than Leah does. And if this is a session where we're not even much into it and our kids come down, like, I'm going to be the one who takes them for a walk so that she can finish her training session, just knowing how much time and energy each of us are putting into something. If I miss a day or 2 or 3, much less if I miss a week, the investment that I've built in my fitness is much greater than what 1 week void of training would do to me. And so I kind of take that perspective nowadays within the week too, where it's like, if these opportunities come up with our children, where my kid wants to go play baseball in the back or wants to, be a knucklehead to me or whatnot, these are going to be much more important experiences for him and for us as a family than, me pushing him to the side and going in and sweating, my ass off for an additional 30 to 45 minutes. So I still take my training seriously. It's just, there's so much time that I can dedicate to it, but by no means does my training look anything like it did a decade ago when I was competing competitively, just because my perspective has changed, my priorities have changed, and I'm only willing to do so much in that realm to maintain where I'm at, while giving my time, my energy, my attention to other things that are honestly more important.
Do you have goals, Asia? Fitness goals still, like to set a PR or mile time, or
no?
Or your goal is more like, hey, if I can work out every day this month, score?
I believe if I had to say I had goals, they would be more execution based. So there's things that I want to do. There's things that I want to accomplish within the day's time. And my goal is to check that on off. So if I can get into the gym and move, or if I can get out and take a 30-minute walk with my family, I'm going to check that box. That's a success for me. Right. And now being a business owner as well, there's a lot of stuff that revolves around that. Being a dad, a husband, being the head of the family, there's a lot of stuff that revolves around that. And there are things that are honestly more important than my own physical health and training. But I think it's so vital to prioritize that and do that as consistently as you can, so that you can build up that, fitness bank account is what I like to call it. Because at times where we get home late from a soccer event and I have to make dinner for my family versus going to the gym and train, like, it's not going to harm me to miss something that's more personal based, to focus on things that are more family based.
Go ahead.
I'll say Asia's very humble though. I will say he's still extremely fit. And he does some, I would say training looks different. If someone's looking for like, what is he doing? Like, it doesn't necessarily look like it did when he was competing by any means. Asia's biggest goal with our gym, which it's evolved now, but originally when we built our garage gym, he was like, I have a whole gym of every single thing I could ever want. Like, I only want the most unconventional, gnarly things. Like, here's a 100-pound dumbbell and a 30-pound dumbbell. You got to pick which one you're going to use for the day. And so I will say that, like, he has fun with those kinds of things. There's an Instagram account called Neighborhood Alpha Dad, and we always joke that that's Asia, like the guy in the street, barefoot doing weird things. Like, that's him. So he still gets his fitness on. It just looks a lot different.
I never work out with shoes on either. I've even started pushing the sled in the street, barefoot. And like the other day, there was some glass out there, and every time I stepped on it, I just take my hand and like gently wipe it off. Like, fuck shoes.
That's baller right there, man.
Yeah, shoes are fuck dildos. Wow, what is this? Oh, Jesus. Wow.
That was a good workout right there.
Wow. Oh my God, you are tall.
Sets of 5 feet backwards fridge walks. If you guys don't have those in your training right now.
Is Rogue selling that fridge now?
It might be.
That is crazy. I need a small man version of that. I as you say this, I say this with complete pride and zero humility. I'm just realizing this as talking to you. One, if my wife and I were working out, now we worked out always together, and then we had one kid and we continued to work out together, and now we have 3 kids and we don't work out together almost never. If she's working out in the garage, she does a lot of yoga and Pilates now too, but if she's doing CrossFit in the garage, I will try to go out there and watch her, just because I like watching her like engorge with blood. I like watching her squat and like her shoulders. I just like watching her move. And but I always, I will always put my wife's working out ahead of mine. I'll never ever, like, if I'm walking towards the fucking garage and she's like, oh, I'm about to get on an assault bike, I'll be like, cool, no problem. And for me, like, I don't care. I'll work out with all 3 boys at home and just me. She doesn't like that. Like, psychologically, she wants to make sure that one of us isn't working out, so they're watching the boys. Like, when she's not around, I'll work out and like fuck the boys. Like, they know, like, you better be good. I'll come out there and fucking snap at somebody. But so I let her work out. I can always work out later. It's so important to me. I never knew this until you guys were just talking now, that my wife works out. So and it's so easy. What that does is, it doesn't make me a nice guy. Think of it from the selfish perspective. I never have to fight with my wife ever about working out. It's just such peace of mind with me. I never have to make a decision. Like, if my wife's like, hey, I'm going to Pilates at 10:30, she always asks me, my wife's so nice, I'm going to Pilates at 10:30. Will you be home with the kids? Even if I had a fucking podcast, I'd move it. Not a problem. Yeah. No problem. I got it. Like, what the fuck do I care? Yeah. I don't know. I suggested anyone who can do that, just like always just give, because then all I'm going to do is go to the park with the boys. I can work out there, do something there, throw a Frisbee with them. Like, and there's always things you can do. Like, if you like what I used to do with my baby, when I would take the kid out, if my wife needed to sleep, I put on a fucking weight vest and pick the gnarliest fucking hill ever, 5 miles away from my house, and carry my fucking kid up the hill and back. No stroller, no carrier. And when I get excited, I set my kid down on the sidewalk and we wait. Like, just do your shit. Yeah. Just do some shit.
A lot of it is like I had mentioned, belief breaking, because especially in the CrossFit culture, it's like, if it's not hard and it's not a set duration of time, it's not effective. But as you bring children into this life and you have more responsibilities that become more important than just your training regimen, you have to open your mind to these things to say, hey, something's going to be better than nothing, you know? Even if it's throwing on a weight vest and going on a walk, or if it's like pushing your child in a stroller, like, we need to
push your kid up a stroller in the hardest hill ever in your neighborhood.
If that's what you desire to
barefoot,
do, but it's not to say that even like low level, short duration, low intensity style work is going to have a great effect on, you know, your health and your overall fitness. It's just oftentimes, I think we're in this societal culture of like, oh, if it's not hard and it's not leaving me in a pile of my sweat, tears, and blood, it's not effective. And if I can't accomplish that, then I don't want to do it at all. And it's like, this is a marathon. Our life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So think about what you can do today or tomorrow that's going to affect you years and years down the road.
Says the guy who carries a refrigerator. And I do want to say this, me walking barefoot, this is real, is way different than Asia walking barefoot. It is significantly more difficult for larger people to walk barefoot because they are heavier and it puts more pressure on their feet. You have to know that. But if you're embarrassed to go barefoot, just walk around the block barefoot every day, at least once. And then make it 2 times and you'll start building up strength and toughness in your feet. But I have a friend who's 6'5", and when he walks around in my barefoot in my backyard barefoot, I can see, oh, that's a different experience for him. Yeah. Because he's just a massive man. And for kids, you also remember, don't project your shit onto them. It's nothing for them. They weigh 35 pounds. Like, don't give a shit. They're walking on fire. Who cares? They're walking over it. Don't worry about kids.
Yeah, we did like a family 5K downtown Houston last year, and Asia he had a rucksack. I had the baby in the back, and I was pushing a stroller, and we were running. And Kai was with us, and Asia was barefoot running the 5K in downtown Houston. And you should have seen, like, not just surprised, but like how disgusted people were that he would be running. Like, they were just so taken back, and it was just really funny. I would let him go ahead and just watch people's reaction, like shirtless, jacked man that's barefoot, and it was pretty awesome to witness that.
Long hair,
Yep.
looks like he's from a foreign land, ready to conquer. Like, what
Be
time
the
machine does he
outcast,
come
be
in?
the anomaly.
Hey, people do that to my kids all the time because my kids don't wear shoes unless it's like sports
Same.
specific, like tennis or skateboarding, and people stare at them constantly.
Yeah,
But I do not. My kids are not allowed to wear shoes in the car.
I love it.
The second you get like if we come back from it, take your shoes and socks off.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just I don't want their feet in those things.
Yeah,
I feel like ours wear shoes so little that they have like a 10-15 minute window that they'll even keep them on. Like if we are going in a store and they put them on, but we're in the store for more than 10 minutes, they're like sitting down taking them off. It's just so foreign. Kai's
My wife's purse is always
now,
full of shoes. Yep.
Yeah, in the back seat of our car, there's 10 pairs of shoes because they just get in there and they just dump them.
yeah.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait to tell my wife that. My wife said, "Why are there always shoes everywhere?" I'm like, "Because we don't wear shoes, so you kind of have to have them everywhere just in case." Ken Walters, my wife had our second at 40, and the amniocentesis. Wow, Sevan, can't believe you said that. Said the baby would be Down syndrome, but God, do you guys know who that is? God.
I know, God.
Okay.
Familiar.
Okay. Yeah, I'm more like you, Asia. I'm more a little familiar. But God didn't have that happen. My wife is also in great shape. No caffeine for entire pregnancy and never drinks. Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, they just assume that baby would be Down syndrome because she's 40.
What's amniocentesis? Is that the goo in the sac? That's like what the baby breathe. That's like the baby's like hit swimming pool.
Yeah, that's the amniotic fluid.
Oh,
So it's got to be. I'm not sure what the amniocentesis is. Is that maybe the person who's analyzing that?
oh, okay.
I wonder if they did like a test where they take some amniotic fluid out and then they try to come up with things from that.
Amniocentesis, also called amino, is a prenatal test that takes amniotic fluid from around your baby in the uterus. Dang, you're smart, Leah. The fluid is tested to see if your baby has certain health conditions. A prenatal test is a medical test you get during pregnancy. So they tell you your baby has Down syndrome, then you abort the baby, and then you killed a baby. Well, I guess you didn't kill the Down syndrome baby, you killed a healthy baby.
Yeah, they say that
that's fucked up.
More often than not to older moms, and I mean,
really, like as a default, tarded.
I don't know if it was default, but I would say more often than you would think, moms are told that. Even, my theory is always if you go looking for something, you'll probably find something. But there's been many instances where I've had, friends or those that I've chatted with be told your baby's going to have X. There's a percentage that your baby is going to have this or that. And they give them the opportunity to terminate the pregnancy, to make their decisions, and then they have the baby and the baby's 100% healthy. So yeah, it's one of those things where sometimes it probably is accurate a lot, but it's also, we don't know until the baby's here a lot too, or it can be more of a scare tactic and things like that. So I would say there's a time and a place for it. And there's definitely things that could probably help rule out, but it is not unheard of for you to be told that baby is going to have something and then baby not have that.
I'll tell you an interesting story. I don't know if I'm gonna get, but I think when they do that test, they got to take a needle and poke a hole in the sac the baby lives in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, me personally, there's no way in hell you would do that to my baby's house inside I would kill you if you put a needle into my wife's stomach and then into the sac the baby lives in. You'd be dead.
I feel the same.
So this friend of mine, I'm going to screw the story up. I should probably, this story might not be true, but the spirit of what I'm going to tell you is true. They did that, and the baby, I guess you have something called like a vagus nerve or some vagus nerve in your neck.
Mm-hmm.
And basically when they tested the mom's, the baby, that needle hit the baby in the neck. And that person to this day faints like on a regular basis. And then they went to like some specialist and they're like, yeah, you have something wrong with your vagus nerve. And then they made all the connections, and it was this person's fainted when they're driving, when they see blood, when they see needle. There's all these things in traffic. When they stress out, they fainted. It's like that somehow they've tied it now to that getting poked when you're it's like, dude, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Poking the bag the baby lives in. Where does that make any sense?
I'm sure someone
as just a regular test.
Yeah. Like I said, if you go looking, you're probably going to, they will find something, but, I'm sure there's a time and a place for it, but I don't know that it's something that I would ever be open to. Even if I was told there's a high chance that this is going to happen, like, it's just not, I'm not going to disrupt that environment like that.
Jesus wore sandals. That's bullshit, by the way. I don't believe that. Oh, someone says my Jesus was barefoot. All right, cool. They actually asked my wife if we were going to keep it. My wife almost slapped a guy. Jay Hartle, you're racist. I worship a brown Middle Eastern man. That's fine, but he's barefoot. I don't care. I'm just telling you he's barefoot. That's where now she's a beautiful 24-year-old woman, graduated from college this month and getting married next September. Awesome. Dang. That is awesome. Be careful, Sevan. No medical advice. Thank you. You're right. Please follow all the WHO guidelines. I support everything that Pfizer and WHO wants me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, and Samantha, here we go. Oh, no. I might have something controversial. Just because a baby has Down syndrome doesn't make their life any less valuable.
Agreed.
Yeah, okay. I agree, but I have some amendments to it. I don't know. Do you have any people with Down syndrome in your family?
Nope. Like further off in the family, but not immediate.
I worked in a home with mentally disabled adults for 5 years who lived there. So the same, like 8 mentally disabled adults for 5 years, and I lived in the driveway of my car. And there were 2 people there with Down syndrome. It is a tough life. Mm. It is a tough life to be mentally disabled because they're aware they're mentally disabled. And so I just want to tell all of you who just think like the number one thing with mentally disabled people is they want to have intimate relationships and they want to have them with non-mentally disabled people. And they just think about that. I'm going to put you on planet Earth and you're not allowed to have, and there's the whole group of people that you want to be intimate with does not want you to be intimate with you. And if you do find someone who's not mentally disabled, who does want to be intimate with you, that person's fucked up.
That's fair.
So I'm just saying it's hard. I'm just painting the picture. It's a brutal reality.
Absolutely.
Okay. Back to BIRTHFIT. The Instagram account and the website is just a crazy resource, right?
Yeah, we have a ton of information out there. We have blogs all over the place. Typically, you can type something you're curious about, add the word BIRTHFIT to it. There's a blog for it. We've got a big YouTube link. I mean, there's all kinds of things out there for us.
And you know what's interesting is on one hand it says, are you doing Kegels postpartum to strengthen your pelvic floor? And then somewhere down here it's saying, hold on, stand by, that you shouldn't be doing Kegels while you're pregnant. Right? And so there's a lot of like nuanced, important details. Like you can keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah, we're going to challenge a lot of the things that you've been told your whole life on pregnancy, postpartum. A lot of blanket recommendations. It's we offend a lot of people. We ruffle a lot of feathers, but we're honest, and our research and the direction that we go is to just give people information that they're probably not hearing elsewhere.
People do get really I'm a firm believer that you should have a vaginal birth, you shouldn't bathe your baby, and you should breastfeed. And I think that basically gives you the strongest baby. For what the fuck do I know? But that really pisses people off. People will be like, well, some women can't have vaginal births, and I'll be like, okay, but I also think that 99% of women who are told they can't have vaginal births can have vaginal births.
Yeah, and what you've been told.
I don't have time to breastfeed. No. You push back. You made that choice not to breastfeed.
Yeah. There's a lot of.
I'm sure you've seen that all over your pages, right?
All over.
That's like those are the two most common fights, right? Right
just
there.
Just because we've learned or we're saying that this is potentially better and you didn't choose to, it doesn't mean you have to be mad about it or that you're wrong. It just means that here's information, take it for what it's worth, right?
Right.
You know, you don't know what you don't know, and I think we can always do better. So putting this information out there isn't. Like so many people are like, oh, you're shaming women and you're shaming this. And it's like, no, we're not. We're just putting information out there and you get to choose what you do with it.
And I wasn't born vaginally and I didn't breastfeed.
I wasn't either.
And I'm very happy with my life and I don't judge my mom at all for it. And I don't give a fuck. And I'm very healthy and I'm fucking living a cool ass life. But I'm just saying that no one has to take offense to it. You like if you're a mom and you had the baby in the hospital, okay, like it's just it's like I tell people it's the same thing, like don't feed your donuts, they're horrible for your kids. And then all these people push back. It's like, well, it's okay to have a little. No, it's not okay to have a little. Well, I saw you feed your kid a donut. Well, yeah, absolutely, I'm not perfect. I gave him 3 donuts today. It doesn't mean that I can't know that donuts are bad for your kids.
Right. People are always looking for something,
and birth is like that, right? That's a really contested top, like a hot button.
And no 2 births are the same. No 2 pregnancies are the same. That's why no program is going to be perfect for everybody. You have to be able to make decisions for yourself. And that's why you can't just trust the system to make decisions for you, because to say, don't lift 20 pounds, don't get your heart rate above 140. Well, what does that mean for the person who's been CrossFitting for 10 years versus the person who's been sitting on the couch for 10 years?
Right.
You have.
That's why we can't judge Tia. That's why it's so hard to judge Tia.
Yeah.
Fittest woman in the world, like homage. So there's almost like a mindset you should come to BirthFit with. Hey, this is an incredible resource. There's no intention of us to get you upset. The intention is to be a resource. Take from it with what you will. Mm-hmm. If you think that doing burpees on these weights is what you absolutely need, and you want to pass on the advice to do this, do it. But don't shove the whole website away, because don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't chop the nose off to spite the face.
Right. If you're not being challenged in your thinking and the way that you're living life, you're not learning, you're not growing, you're not, doing anything. So I think being open to information, but also, it's not like you can be like, oh, we'll just try it out. Cause people are like, well, I'm not pregnant. But I would say like, this isn't just half-assed information that's being put out there. It's tried and true, tested research. Like we do this specifically for pregnancy. We're not just women that are like, oh, I had a baby and this worked for me, so buy this program. It's like, this is specific for people in this window. It's not just thrown out there random.
Things you don't want to hear during pregnancy. There's something about pregnancy that suddenly makes everyone around you very opinionated, and worst of all, experts. Yeah, if you're pregnant, you don't want to be around me. I'm all of those things. When we get together as a community, a lot of women share how a comment from a friend, relative, stranger made while pregnant made them feel. Some of the most common ones we hear are, "Oh, you're so big, you must be ready to pop." Yeah, I like that one. Should you be working out like that? I don't like that one. So I do that one too. I did that one to Tia. Was it a planned pregnancy? Oh yeah, that's the first place I go always. You look exhausted. Definitely don't say that. Okay, I agree there with you guys. Definitely don't say that. That's a douche move. Let me tell you about my neighbor's traumatic birth. Oh, another douche move. Wow. That's like when you ride a motorcycle and everyone's like, dude, I had this friend who just died. And you're putting on your helmet to get on your bike. You're like, damn it.
Yeah, let me tell you all the bad stuff.
Some people don't understand that words can stick in someone's mind for a long time. Oh, that's what my wife will say something to me and I'll bring it up 3 days later and she'll, with a big grin, she'll be like, I knew that stuck. And there can be harm in inexplicable ways. So before you project your own experience and trauma or opinions towards someone, remember that it might not be the best for them. I so beautifully said. Pregnancy, birth, and immediate postpartum are full of unexpected changes in every woman. So be kind. Okay, and I'm going to play this. Here we go. Crazy. It really is cool. If you're a dude and your chick gets pregnant, you should take a gazillion pictures and just soak it all in. And you really kind of, I don't know how you feel like this, but you really want a woman who ideally like will let you be as kind of as intimate with her as you possibly can while she's pregnant. Cause it's your own kind of like science experiment. You got this thing in the house with you that's going to make a baby, and you want to be able to just like fully examine it and touch it. And like, it's crazy. It's so cool.
It's funny. Asia can probably talk about this, but I find that women are so disassociated with themselves postpartum after they've, been pregnant, had a baby, whatever. And I found that like, and Asia says it too, I think he was like the most attracted to me ever after I had a baby, when I probably felt the grossest and felt like I looked the worst. And I remember he said like, I feel like I've got this soft tummy and I'm soft and, things that I've never been used to. And one time he was like, before you were just like a hot girl. He's like, now you're a woman. These are like postpartum curves. And I'll let him speak to it if he wants, but it was just like, that was so helpful for me to hear. But also I see it in births too, where moms are just, I work with women so often, they're just so like blah with themselves, but then their husband just saw them give birth and like think they're the most beautiful, magical human beings ever. So I think that's so cool how it's just designed like that.
It's not fake at all, people. You have to understand that too. It's not, no dude is saying, well, right, Asia? You're not saying that to make her feel better.
No.
You're like, damn, I got this now.
My wife is sexy indeed.
Yeah. It's like, wow.
If anything, I'm not saying that to make her feel good. It's just an emotional response, and it's how I feel. But it's kind of like what you guys were saying about not only is a baby born, but a mother is born too. It's just a different phase of your life too. And to see the things, to look back on our journey together and to see the evolutions of our lives and to see like how she's brought children into this world and the thing that she does for our children and me on a daily basis, the work that she puts into keeping herself where she's currently at. It's sexy, man. And it's just something that you can't get out of like a youthful, fun relationship that we used to have way back in the day. It's just it's a different evolution. And I think men that see this on a daily basis with women that they're married to or partners that they have who birth children in this world and have done the things that she's done, it's a remarkable thing. They can likely relate. I'm sure you can relate.
Greg Glassman just got his wife pregnant again. And he's like 60 something, and he called me and he's like, dude, and I go, what? He goes, I love her more than ever. And as she gets bigger and bigger, and he's like, dude, I just cannot stop like just admiring her. What a fucking powerhouse she is. I just love her so much. And it's like, dude, this is, we're all that. I feel like if some biologically, that's just what the men are just, I think that's just a sign of a healthy man. Like you just can't stop looking at the curves and wanting more and more and more of them. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. I would say to like men, men are always asking, what can I do postpartum to support my wife? And like those little things go a long way. Just like, even if she's not accepting herself yet, just hearing it, physical touch, like being reminded that you still think I'm beautiful, sexy, all of the things I think that was super helpful for me.
Does BIRTHFIT do any parenting?
We do. We have like a birth prep course, so that both you could purchase.
Like parenting coaching. Sorry, yeah, parenting coaching. Not
necessarily parenting, but like birth prep, how to prepare for your birth together as a team, and coming up with your birth preferences, what you guys want, things like that. So that would be more of like our birth education type thing.
But so it's in that window. It's like maybe what about couples that are having trouble getting pregnant? Does BirthFit have resources that like, hey, you should consider this diet, these movements, this amount of sleep, like tweaks to the lifestyle?
We do some preconception work. We also do consultations to be a little bit more specific with those people. And then we also have a whole program. So we call it our B community, but it's a fitness program, we say, for women in all seasons and cycles of their life, whether it be preconception, maybe it's I had kids 10 years ago, maybe it's I'm trying to train in sync with my cycle. But it's more nervous system based or nervous system led training. That's going to have a lot of those tidbits, and it's more like you're still getting your fix of, wide variety GPP movement index, but it's going to be a little bit more catered towards the feminine side.
Michael, my wife, you are a handsome man, Michael. My wife has never looked as amazing as she did when she was pregnant and post-pregnancy. She would say, I'm so fat. My response was fat, P-H-A-T. Yeah. My mom, take two. My wife just took it. She takes compliments good. She just sits there. Whether my wife takes if I say something mean to her or nice to her, it's the same thing. I bring up the thing about parenting because because I've been with my wife so long. I think I'm 51 and she's, I don't know how old she is, 3 years younger than me. Fighting's very we basically stopped fighting before we even had kids, and then when we had kids again, we started fighting again. And for us, fighting's not bad. Like we're good at fighting. And fighting that like not physically, but yelling or some like name calling or like a shut up. Gentle name calling though. You don't call someone a fat fuck or something like that. You can't come back from. You be careful. You know what I mean? Or you don't call someone ugly. You're not coming back from that. But just like, hey, dickhead, or just something like that.
Yeah.
But because like I know I'm not really a dickhead. You see what I'm saying? You got to like there's rules to fighting. But the only thing we fight over is when one of us doesn't feel supported with the kid, and by that I mean around discipline. So the kids are I've asked them 3 times to take a shower, they don't, and I go in there and I grab them by the backs of their neck and I start moving them towards their bedroom. And the wife's like, instead of like waiting till I'm done doing that, she'll be like, don't do that to them. I don't like that. And then all of a sudden now, like I don't feel supported, right?
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only thing we ever fight. Like, and that's it 100%. It's never like I could leave my dirty underwear on her pillow and we still won't fight over it. She'll be like, hey, don't do that again. You know what I mean? A wet towel on her clothes she's gonna wear out, we don't get in a fight. Nothing. I put too much salt in the dinner. Who cares? But around that kid thing, around not supporting the other parent when they're like dealing with the kids, interrupting, that's it. That's 100% of our issues.
Yeah, I would say we don't really fight either, but I would say that we've kind of like, we have a role with our kids and how they're disciplined. I feel like if it needs to be escalated, I'm definitely the one that's like, Asia, I need you to go handle that.
Yeah. And my wife will do that too. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, see?
Yeah.
See?
Like I'm definitely, I have my moments, and he's actually good at reading when I'm like nervous system is here and I'm about to snap. He's the one that's like, you need to calm down. I'm going to take the kid. Like he recognizes that and kind of removes the situation because I'm about to lose it. Yeah. And I have my moments, and
that's good. Good job, Asia. I do that too. I'd say 8 out of 10 times I'm really good. I support her even if what she's doing is wrong. I'll bite the inside of my cheek and tell her later, dude, you're going to make them pussies.
He does that
I
too.
Bite the inside of my cheeks. I'm like, I'm not interrupting mama now.
Yeah, like I pushed my daughter out of the way the other day. She did something. I yelled. I kind of pushed her, and he was like, "Hey, you didn't need to push her for that," And it's like, okay, fair. Like that was me taking it out on her, and we have the same moments, vice versa. But usually, if it needs to be escalated, I'm more of the nurturer, of course, as the mom. They want to come, like he's going to do his thing, and then they're going to come to me, and I'm going to hug them, and I'm going to reaffirm why he did what they did, but I'm going to love on them. And so we have our roles there.
If my wife disciplines the kids, I wait till she leaves the room and then I taunt them. I'm like, yeah, she fucked you up. Yeah, how you like that? Because it's so rare. It's so rare. But if like she picked one of my kids up and carried them out of the room or did something like that aggressive, like I might do, like just pick them up and remove them as they're carrying away, crying, I'd be like, and then she'd turn around and be like, be cool. Just be cool. She's like raising 4 boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. How often? So are you guys ever going to go back to doing live? I'm a huge proponent of live stuff. You said you guys haven't done any live seminars in a year or something?
We haven't, just because our team is kind of evolving. So we're a 4-man team, 3 of which are pregnant right now. So
whoa.
Yeah. So our
You guys don't believe in contraception over there at BIRTHFIT?
It was all conscious.
Oh, okay.
I'm done, but they're still going. So it's a really good time for us. We can reach more people currently when we're online, but we do like a huge part of BIRTHFIT. And if you've talked to anyone who's ever been to a BIRTHFIT thing, is the in-person connection that we cultivate is incredible. So it's not to say that it's
how, what do you mean? Like after you do the online course, like I can call someone?
So I'm saying when we did the in-person seminars and things that. A lot of our virtual stuff does have, live calls and things like that with Lindsay and myself, so that we're, we have support calls every month. They're seeing our faces. They're in front of us live a lot. But we do in BIRTHFIT, we love our in-person things. This year is just not going to be the year for it because, they're growing humans. But I would say that BIRTHFIT is definitely, we're in front of people all the time. So if it's not at an in-person seminar, it is virtual, but you're seeing us a lot. You're talking to us a lot. Like Lindsay and I are constantly chirping in everyone's ear. We have an online community, our B community, where they get specific access to us and calls and guest speakers and things like that.
So if someone signs up for the course, they take the course online, do they take it all in 2 days?
No, it's a self-paced. It's, probably a dozen modules or more. And there's so much information because in that course, you're learning everything from how to coach to the physiological, process of pregnancy and birth and programming. And it's a lot. So it's self-paced. But what we do is twice a year, we have like a spring cohort and a fall cohort. So if you're going through self-paced, you can meet with us at those times and kind of break things down a bit more.
And that cohort also hangs out. So I'm guessing it's also maybe that's for coaches, but for pregnant women, like in that, I noticed my wife made friends with those women who were in our birthing class. That was like her class, even though some women were going to give birth sooner or later than others. That was like her graduating class, and she stayed in touch with those people through like social media and stuff. I'm guessing, is there something like that at BIRTHFIT too in the community? Like there's like classes that graduate, like groups of women.
We have our birth prep online, but we were previously doing, like, hey, this is our fall birth prep course. And so you see the same 10 people on there and you're following each other. They're giving birth around the same time. I would say like our community is very familiar with one another. You see a lot of the same people, and these could be coaches. They're not even pregnant, to people who are pregnant, postpartum, everyone's kind of moving because birth is nothing staying the same. But we have a lot of familiar faces and things like that where it's like, oh, so-and-so's pregnant. And then 10 other people are like, oh my God, I'm so excited, because they know who that person is. They've been through the program or they've seen them in calls. And I would say that for it being virtual right now, there's a lot of focus on our end on that connection and kind of just feeling that like a community of women that can talk about things that probably they aren't talking about in other circles.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you feel like needs to be said in this show? I feel like this won't be the last time that either of you, hopefully you enjoyed yourself, and hopefully we can have you guys on again. I'd like to actually have Lindsay on again too. Is there anything else you think that we should say about BIRTHFIT?
I hope, and I think you did a good job drawing attention to this, is like, this isn't just for, hey, I'm pregnant, I should figure this out. If you're a coach, if you're a human being that's working with or around pregnant women, postpartum women in general, I think that there's, amazing information that you could benefit from, men included. But we have programs for anything and everything. So definitely check it out, kind of find where you fit. And if you want more information, like I think there were probably questions on, I forget that in my world, everyone talks about home birth and, controversial things, but that's not the norm everywhere. So if you're looking to have more of those conversations, definitely reach out to us to figure out where you can go to figure out, I want to break away from the system. What are my options? And
you guys are open about that. You guys are open about that as being. So do you guys have a bias towards like home births and sort of like breastfeeding and vaginal birth? Do you guys have a bias towards that?
I would say we have a positive bias towards what we feel is going to be the absolute best when your goal is optimal recovery and a thriving baby. I would say that I would not tell somebody that they should not give birth in a hospital if that is where they are comfortable and they have the information to make that decision wholeheartedly. But I think we're here to basically give the information so that they're not making decisions driven by fear. Right. That they can make a decision that works best for their family. So we are going to give a ton of information and then, obviously let you decide. But I would say there is a positive bias towards what we feel biologically is how, things were designed to happen.
Okay. Fair enough. I like that. You're good. You're much more, you're less confrontational than I am. I'm more confrontational.
That's a compliment because I don't always have a tight leash on. Maybe when you have Lindsay on, she'll explore a little bit further in the weeds.
Yeah. Well, I got along very good. I got along very good with her. I just have so much faith in the way we're biologically designed.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that we don't shy away from what we believe, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to choose, but I'm going to let you know, the ins and the outs and everything you need to know to make that decision. And like you said, breastfeeding, like all of the things, we're not just going to stand for, I just couldn't breastfeed. It's like, no, there's a reason why. Let's figure it out because you were designed to breastfeed. Right. So, we're very honest and we'll put that information out there, but we're also going to let you determine what's best for your family. And, that's you.
What about this statement? Every child doesn't have to have allergies and ear infections. And what do you think about that?
I'm absolutely a proponent of children not having those things and kind of getting to the root of why they're having those things.
Oh, you're so good. Yes. Yeah, me too. Okay. I don't want to get kicked off YouTube again for 7 days. Asia, any closing remarks from Asia Barto? We just had him on here for his star power today.
Yeah, right.
Just following up with what Leah had mentioned about BirthFit as a resource. I think that's a realm from a supporting partner and somebody who was not very knowledgeable in that realm. Even to this point, I'm still gaining knowledge. It's just about being informed, and I think that this is such a solid resource to not just inform the mother, whether they're involved in fitness or not, but especially this space being very fitness oriented. Like there's a lot of really, really great resources and information amongst BirthFit. And if anything, it's just being as informed as possible, doing your research, educating yourself so that you can make the decision that you want and you can be the spouse or the partner that you desire to. There's not a lot of support and help and information out there, but this is a great resource to be able to do that. And I'm very grateful for having them to be able to provide me the experiences that I had with my wife on our childhood journey, our kids' journey.
One final thing. I'm 29 years old. I'm 42 pounds overweight, and I haven't worked out since I went to high school, and I was a cheerleader. Does BirthFit have a place for me? Will I feel out of place there? Will I feel at home there?
Yeah, absolutely. Were you reading that from the chat?
No. I just made that up.
Okay.
I'm a 29-year-old woman.
Yeah.
I haven't, the last time I've been working ever since I graduated from high school. I was on the cheerleading team and I haven't worked out in 9 years, and I'm 42 pounds overweight. I'm 5'5", 200 pounds. Does BirthFit and my boyfriend's been ejaculating in me. Does BirthFit have something for me?
Yes, we are a place for all women.
Okay. So you don't have to be fit at all.
We have things for everyone. We have programs at every level with limited equipment, with all the equipment, with no equipment, whatever you need. We will find a place for you. Yes.
Okay. How about this? One more thing. I'm 6 weeks pregnant, and is it too late for me to start working at moving and get something from BirthFit?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
You can buy our second trimester program. You can buy our third trimester program. It's not going to be too late. And if you weren't working out before pregnancy, you can still work out during pregnancy.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think the last thing that I want to note too, I think the beauty of being a 4-woman team too is accessibility. And that's something that I appreciated on my journey getting into just CrossFit in general, is like these women are accessible. So if this is you, if this is the archetype that you are, don't feel like you can't reach out to BIRTHFIT and talk to a real human, not a bot.
Okay. Very good. All right, guys. Thank you. We will be in touch. Awesome having you on. Please tell Lindsay and Lance, congratulations. And I'm sending my love, and I'm happy for him. I'm probably going to get off here and tell my wife. She'll be pretty stoked.
Oh, yeah, we definitely will. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for the opportunity, Sevan.
All right. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Okay. Bye. If I had to bet, I'd bet that Asia had to go to the bathroom the last 20 minutes. Just because I was doing a pee, but I'm projecting because I started doing a little bit of a pee dance. So there, take that. Elise, did you change Elise Carr Ridow? Is that you think that you took your last name off and I won't say it anymore? Elise Carr Ridow. Excellent episode. I hope my husband will listen. Great couple. Yeah, they're cool as shit. She's like a real adult. She reminds me of my wife. My wife's an adult too, kind of. He was pounding water. Okay, so you think that's a fair assessment? He had to pee. A place for real woman. Watch the trans community try to come after this space. Oh wait, they already have. Robbie Myers. We were hoping to have a home birth with our first child, but my wife started showing signs of preeclampsia, so we had to go to the hospital to make sure everything was going to be okay. Longest 24 hours of our lives. You have the baby now? Do you have the baby? Congratulations, by the way. Oh, here we go. Oh, shit. It's got to be quick. I got to pee so bad. Hello, caller.
Oh, yeah. I was just calling you back. You called me earlier.
Oh, Sousa, hi.
We were on Google.
Hi, yes,
You got to pee. Call me afterwards.
What? Wait. There was something I was going to ask you to do for me to schedule.
Was it the podcast on Google?
Oh,
schedule,
yes. What the fuck is going on with our podcast? Why isn't it on Google?
Yeah, it's on Google now. I'm not sure why that. You have to like put in each individual ID, and maybe that just didn't go through to Google.
So you fixed it?
It should be updated.
So you fixed it since that person. Oh, wow. Look at you.
Yeah. When I stopped at home and ate before I came up to Hayward, I fixed it.
Yeah, take that. Whoever was. It's on Google. It is on Google.
Yeah, guy. Yeah, and that was Alyssa, not Elise.
Oh, that's
Ridow.
not Ridow. Oh, okay.
No, I was a different person.
Oh.
Okay, what else? Are you gonna schedule some schedule? What?
No. But I'm making a list of douchebags. Jeez Louise, Brandon Waddle.
Hey, I got a quick
there was one other. There was
Clive. Were you mad at him too?
Oh, Clive. Yep. Thank you, Clive. Okay, the D-bag posse. That's what I'm call those guys, the D-bags.
Oh, my
thank you,
goodness.
Jeez Louise. Look at a good podcast, Sevan. You the man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Love you too. Dick Butter, you are not a douche. You're good to go. What the fuck am I? Jeez Louise says, what the fuck? Why am I a douchebag? I don't know. It's fuck too, Jeez, because I can't even remember what you said. But I just remember like, okay, these guys are all on my shit list. They get it. Tomorrow they get it in the ass, no lube. Eric Wise, Jeez Louise is cool. All right. Okay.
I'm a 29-year-old girl. I was on a cheerleading squad, and my boyfriend's been ejaculating at me. Do you have any advice?
Yeah, that's good, right? I'm an ex-cheerleader. I have an exercise. I'm 42 pounds overweight. Oh, you didn't? You didn't comment on the T-Lander? I thought you were yesterday on Hiller's podcast. Listen, I've told you. Here's the thing. Just trust. I don't know if you want to trust me. I feel like I've given Susan. I feel like I've given them I feel like they should know that like there was no rock that I didn't crawl under or turn over. And so you just
what do you mean?
Like just like all of this stuff with like Talander and Andy and Rosa and it's like literally you have to be so wise. You have to even know that like you should even consider that I pay 12 daily doses of stuff to come on here and commentate and invigorate the show. That's how, and I tell him to give money so that other people will give me money. I mean, that's how open you should be to shit. And I'm not saying, unfortunately, those examples are dishonesty, but you just can't imagine how much I saw, not just by proxy. I just saw, and people like people. The thing is people like me. Even like the only people who hated me at HQ were like jealous. I never do anything like mean to people. So you just know that. So you just have to, Brandon Waddle said, I'm afraid of confrontation. No, like you don't even know all the dynamics. Like I just told you, I was at Andy's resignation, just me, him, and Greg. Like that should just blow everyone's mind. Like, oh shit.
You're afraid of confrontation.
like that should just blow your mind. Like, oh fuck. Like I'm not interested in having like an old friend of mine on that in hashing it out here with him like that. I'm not interested in,
I think
some really bad shit happened in my family, in my CrossFit family.
Yeah, I think people forget sometimes. Like this was real life relationships and people you have, not just like a TV show they're watching.
Yeah,
dynamic's different.
This is what Jeez Louise said. Right. Well said, Susan. Jeez Louise said, I think the worst thing I said was that Sevi would be heartbroken if Glassman showed up on Hill Show. God, Jeez Louise, you're a fucking stud for remembering that. Okay, that is what it was. You have to also know this. I would not be. I am so high on myself and so arrogant. Like I don't care. You guys, look what my friends gave me. Look.
Are you pointing at the sign?
Yeah. I think I'm the shit.
Yeah.
I'm happy for everyone around me. Like, dude, like go get it. I don't think there's anyone who interviews better than me. And I don't think that there's my group of people, cool ass people like Jeez Louise that hang out. I love what you guys have done for me. You guys have no idea you've made me such an arrogant fucking douche, and I love it, and I appreciate it. And so, like, I just think I'm so good at what I do. I don't care if anyone goes anywhere. Like, go be interviewed. I honestly think it's like I told you guys the other day. Someone said to me, "Hey, do you think Greg Glassman deserves a second chance?" And I said, "There's a presupposition there that he did something wrong. The question is does the world deserve another chance? Because the world did something wrong to Greg in my mind, and so I don't know. He doesn't. Why he doesn't? He's still on his first chance. I also don't think he was canceled. I think that he was attacked and decided to sell his company. And if I don't think that there's anywhere he could go on any show he wants, and the interview is not going to be as good as the one I do with him. Or if in the most humble way I could say it would be so different. So like I don't care about any of that stuff. Would you say that's fair, Susan, or do you think I'm posturing? Be honest.
No, I think that's completely fair.
Okay. I know that's not when I have a fucking my best friend standing up for me for my character. It doesn't say much, but
hey, it's obvious. The whole entire fucking landscape of podcasts in this space completely changed. How many people were doing live shows before we were? Zero. How many people have this engagement of this mob of this chat that we see everywhere? We always see all the regulars that are things. What do you always use? You curled the herd there, like, yeah. You guys are fucking welcome.
And we have a wide palette of our vocabularies. I would say it's the largest vocabulary of any podcast out there too, which we don't get credit for. We were allowed to say words like retard. It's the palette of our vocabulary is massive here.
And specificity really matters to you when talking about stories. And why does it matter? Because when you're being specific, you could tell that it's the truth. There's a true story behind it. It's not ambiguous, right? Yeah. Did you see that recent Elon Musk interview with the dude from BBC?
Is that the one where he's? Thank you, Jeez Louise. I appreciate it, by the way, and I appreciate you letting me use you as a piece of content in the show. Is that the one where he says, "To tell me what specifically"? He tries to ask the guy specifics of what was going on at Twitter, and the guy says he can't think of any examples.
Yeah, exactly.
attacks
And
him,
the
yeah.
reason why was because Elon knew that the ambiguousness of that statement means that it means nothing. Everybody's operating from a different definition, a different sheet of music, because they're all nodding and going, yeah, there is more hate. Well, then when he says, hey, what specifically is hateful? What are you seeing? And what was the increase on it? And wanted to get into the specifics of what he was talking about. He couldn't produce anything. Therefore, it's just bullshit. It's just this cloud of, well, it's harming some communities. People don't agree, but yet you don't have anything specific. So therefore, the problem can actually never be solved.
Right. And so that's the same thing what Katrin David's daughter did and all those people did out there when they attacked Greg.
That's right, because it was just ambiguous. So if you had a very specific case and you said, and by the way, and these people saw, we're taking legal action and everything else, then it would be, oh shit, this is something we could point out. We could all agree that was bad. But until you have that, until there's something specific there, and this doesn't even just go for the Greg thing, this should go for everybody that watches anything in the media and as they're formulating their opinions on stuff, to say, hey, is this specific? Can I really point at it and it's re-explain exactly what was happening here? Or is it just ambiguous? Is it just a feeling we're agreeing upon? Because that's not the truth. That's just a subjective experience.
These people just suck from the corporate cock.
Yeah, it's all yoga. Well, I used to call it just the yoga babble.
Yeah,
we are the biggest distributors of happiness. What? How could you distribute happiness? It's not. You can't touch it and feel it.
Aren't they embarrassed? Aren't they embarrassed? The more and more I think about it, aren't you embarrassed? How does anyone still have their black square up when you know that black square killed black people? How? Is no one embarrassed? How do you still have your out thing up? Does Katrin David's daughter still have her out, I'm out up? Like if we went through her
I'm sure.
What a fucking joke. Okay, I don't want to ruin the show. That was great. Leah and Asia were great.
Yeah, it sounded good. I caught the back half of it there.
Oh, my hand still smells like penis. God, that smells good.
I'm assuming the chocolate one.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yes.
All right. Right on.
All right. Tomorrow we have Mr. Sean Pastuch coming back on. I really enjoyed hanging out with him. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but he's a great dude. We'll have fun talking. He's a wise man. He's an open man. And there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, that should be good.
Okay. I will. I absolutely love them too. Loved them. Yeah, they were great. They're great. Asia's body's crazy. Fucking nuts. All right. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Maybe tonight. You never know. Okay, bye-bye.